Chapter 1398, Soul as the Sea. Chapter 1398, Soul as the Sea. On a brown-gray asteroid, Audrey sat with her eyes closed. The fierce soul energy rippled through her. Evelyn's, Adam's, and Masha, the three members of the Heavenly Eye clan gathered by her, their faces stern. They were hesitant on whether they should help her or not. They had witnessed the moment when Ming Hong, the brutal soul, entered Audrey's brain. They also saw so many dark clouds get into her body. At this moment, Audrey's soul energy was fluctuating strangely. They knew that something was wrong. They thought that Audrey was possessed. Singh had tamed that brutal soul. He has Singh's power, Upanishad, said Evelyn's when he was about to accumulate energy and attack Audrey. I'm afraid we're not an equal opponent to that brutal soul. Adams wore a panicked face. He turned around to watch and was startled. Oh, that's Forefather Dragon Lizard. In between the chaotic energy waves that stirred the sea of asteroids in front of them, Dragon Lizard's humanoid clone, Chi, and his wife Yiyun appeared. They were searching around with worried countenances. However, Audrey and the others were hiding inside a spatial blind spot that Yin had tried hard to find. Forefather Dragon Lizard and Chi couldn't see them. Unless they quieted down their minds and used the soul consciousness to sense, they couldn't find Audrey's team in a short time. We can ask them to help, suggested Adams. Masha shook her head immediately. They will kill Audrey to end potential trouble. We can't do that. They didn't know that Audrey and Yin knew Chi. What should we do? She can't resist the brutal soul. Once it possesses her body, we will be in trouble. Adams felt a flame burn his heart. He pondered and then said, how about we leave first and ignore them? We could do that. Evelyn's hesitated for a while, but he agreed with this suggestion. Because even if they stayed, they couldn't help Audrey and the brutal soul could kill them later. After the three of them leave, we will go. Otherwise, we'll get busted. Masha sighed and then looked at Audrey. Sorry, we can't help you. You have to depend only on yourself. I hope you can escape the bind. Dragon Lizard, Chi, and his wife searched around the area and then left hurriedly. Adams and the other two didn't linger. They quietly left the asteroid. After they had flown away, they were stunned when they turned around. There was nothing behind them. It looked like the asteroid they had been sitting for a long time on didn't exist. They were speechless as they knew how special the shelter they had taken was. Also, they understood Yan's profound space power Upanishad more deeply. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Not long after they had left, Dragon Lizard and Chi changed their direction and returned to the area. Dragon Lizard immediately stood in their ways. He opened his mouth and sprayed a lava barrier, keeping Adams and the other two inside. Forefather Dragon Lizard looked at them with malicious eyes. He snorted and pointed at them while talking to Chi and his wife. The brutal soul, which is Singh, has flown to this area. He must occupy one person to avoid our checking. We've searched around. This area has no aura of living beings. Only the three of them who had just gotten out of nowhere. Adams changed his countenance. We rather kill the wrong ones than let the right one escape, shouted Forefather Dragon Lizard. Chi and his wife frowned. They knew that Adams and the other two knew Yin and Audrey, but they also thought that Singh could hide in the soul of Adams, Masha, or Evelyn's. Although that brutal soul had run quickly, it couldn't get rid of them in just a blink, unless it depended on someone's soul. It had fused with someone to avoid their searching. Because of the Phantom Clan masked woman's massacre, the hiding warriors were all killed. In this dead silent sea of asteroids, Adams, Evelyn's, and Masha had strangely survived. Forefather Dragon Lizard and Chi thought that if Singh could escape their searching, he must have entered one of these three. They didn't know that Audrey was still hiding in the spatial blind spot where they couldn't sense or see. These three. Sigh, never mind. You take care of them. Chi hesitated for a while. He looked begrudging, but he agreed with Forefather Dragon Lizard. They would rather kill the wrong ones than let the right one go. Lava dissolves. Forefather Dragon Lizard hissed, and the lava barriers slowly gathered and covered Adams, Evelyn's, and Masha. The three of them cried mournfully. Adams knew that if he didn't tell them the truth, they would be killed tragically here. No, no, no. It's not like that. No. Adams cried crazily. Forefather Dragon Lizard was surprised, and he lowered his voice. What? We saw that brutal soul. He didn't occupy us. He didn't affect us, either. The one he has possessed is right over there. Adams pointed at Audrey's location. Naked eyes couldn't see that area. It's a spatial blind spot. We just got out of it. Wait a minute. Tu Shirchi shouted. Forefather Dragon Lizard retracted his arms. He hesitated for a while, and then released his soul consciousness at the peak of a mortal realm to search. Then, his scarlet eyes brightened. Two strange light shots toward the area Adams had pointed out. Swish. Just like a rock wall or space that eroded, the hidden asteroid and Audrey sitting on it appeared. On the gray-brown asteroid, Audrey was sitting cross-legged. Innumerable souls and ghosts like layers of mountain ranges appeared around her. Above her head, countless dark clouds of souls hovered like black stars. So many departed souls and ghosts were surrounding Audrey while she was wearing a faint, indifferent countenance and had her eyes closed. A minute vortex appeared at her glabella. The vortex was crazily revolving and drawing a lot of souls in it. Adams was so surprised. He thought that Audrey was already possessed, and she would be killed soon. At this moment, he didn't feel guilty as he thought that Audrey was already dead. He showed her location, which was also a way to take revenge for her death. A clear soul appeared from the vortex in Audrey's glabella between so many ghosts and departed souls. It was her host's soul. Gotcha! Forefather Dragon Lizard sneered. As soon as he saw the soul, he didn't think too much and raised one hand to strike. Yeyun suddenly screamed ear-piercingly. Hold on. Forefather Dragon Lizard darkened his face. It's not right. She's not Sing. Tu Shirchi reacted and pointed at the host's soul flying out of the vortex. Her host's soul is still alive. She's not possessed. Otherwise, we should have seen Sing's soul there, not her host's soul. Forefather Dragon Lizard wasn't ignorant. He had just let his anger control his mind for a while. He was awakened when the other two reminded him. It's not like what we've thought. Tu Shirchi rubbed his chin and pondered. Don't act rashly. We should wait and see here. After she's done, we will know what happened. Forefather Dragon Lizard thought for a while, and then nodded. He didn't hurry to kill Audrey. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Audrey's host soul vigorously flew out of her labella. It was like a wizard mumbling an incantation that ran directly into people's souls. Tens of thousands of souls floated by her. They were affected by the incantations, and they flew around before entering her head through her glabella. A corner of the soul sea appeared inside the vortex filled with souls. Audrey's host soul was like a fishing net that covered all those souls. A fearsome, massive crocodile suddenly appeared underneath her. Dragon Lizard's face went cold as he tensed instantly. Tu Shirchi hastily rose his hand to signal Dragon Lizard to calm down. Under the power of Audrey's incantations, the giant crocodile opened its mouth and released brutal souls that it had swallowed. They were 5 out of 7 brutal souls Sing had tamed. Audrey's host soul stimulated them and made them enter the soul sea in her vortex. After the giant crocodile disappeared, many souls floating above Audrey's head suddenly changed into Ming Hong's appearance. Ming Hong, the brutal soul, had a pair of deep and stern eyes as he had his full consciousness. He hovered like a massive ghost behind Audrey and gazed at Dragon Lizard. A soul message was sent to Dragon Lizard. I swallowed Sing alive. Forefather Dragon Lizard was shaken hard. He shouted, What did you just say? I swallowed Sing. He's dead. Ming Hong said, and then opened his mouth. Inside his giant, dark mouth, the others could see pieces of Sing's soul, which slowly melted down into smaller pieces. Oh gosh! Yeyun screamed in fear. Sing had been brutal and arrogant for so many years. In the end, his brutal soul has swallowed him. That's karma. Tu Shirchi was also surprised. So, Sing is dead now? Forefather Dragon Lizard wasn't certain. Tu Shirchi and Yeyun nodded. Forefather Dragon Lizard sighed, his face awkward. It's good that he's dead. We can save ourselves from a lot of trouble. Otherwise, all the members of the Soul Clan would have thought that they could hunt us down. Yeah, I hope that Sing's death will wake up the Soul Clan. They shouldn't be too frenzied. Tu Shirchi and Yeyun exchanged looks as they suddenly felt bitter. They understood the Soul Clan deeper than Forefather Dragon Lizard. They knew that the Soul Clan would never let this slip away easily. However, they didn't want to explain this to Forefather Dragon Lizard. The more the Soul Clan hated the Dragon Lizard clan, the more the Dragon Lizard clan had to depend on their clan. They had to take the same boat as the mysterious Sky Clan. It was the result that they had desired. They didn't discuss more and just watched Audrey and her changes. Chapter 1399, Fortune. Chapter 1399, Fortune. People were still suspicious. They didn't know why Ming Hong hadn't possessed Audrey after he had swallowed Sing. He let Audrey's host soul stay. It was against his common sense. With his power after swallowing Sing, he could become the leading soul of the 7 brutal souls. If he could take Audrey's body, even though he couldn't get back to his peak of power, at least he could regain his freedom. He wouldn't be bound to this woman. This made them think a lot. But they knew one thing. From now on, Audrey was the brutal soul's new master. The souls that Sing had spent years refining were now her fortune. As long as Audrey wasn't really ignorant, she had the potential to one day reach Sing's level when he was still alive. If Audrey had excellent innate talent, she was going to progress fast, and it was going to be hard to predict her future attainment. The Soul Clan was one of the 7 great clans anyway. Sing was the commander of the Soul Clan, and his understanding of soul power Upanishad was clear and profound. These things now benefited Audrey, and they were great nutrients for her growth. The others looked at Audrey, yearning and complimenting. Who is she? You know her? Forefather Dragon Lizard understood and asked in astonishment. Tu Shirchi and Yeyun smiled. The kid who came to talk to you about the soul-refining cauldron ambush is her man. Yeah, we've met. This little girl is nice too. They are together, explained Yeyun. Forefather Dragon Lizard understood it now. He suddenly asked, Oh right, where's that kid? I noticed that a masked woman from the Phantom Clan had chased after him. Why didn't he gather with us? Listening to him, Tu Shirchi and Adam's group had noticed that. However, after a while, Tu Shirchi got an explanation for this. Perhaps he's afraid that you have some other ideas. Forefather Dragon Lizard understood immediately. After a while, Forefather Dragon Lizard shook his head with a forced smile. I put my hand on my chest and wonder myself. If he were here, it would be really hard to make a choice. He has fused with a wisp of his soul of the absolute beginning creature. If I refined him, I'm sure I would have been able to activate the memory in that soul and get dark energy to break through to the territory ancestor realm. Sigh, I've been stuck in this realm for a long time. I've seen it in my dreams too. He's a key to my breakthrough. He's right. He should stay away from me. I wonder if he can escape that phantom woman. She's really intimidating. In some aspects, she's stronger than Sing. We can fight against Sing equally, but she can subdue us right from the start. If Shuryen hadn't struck her, we would have been confined in the Snow Lotus now, said Yeyun. Indeed, we owe him a favor, Tu Shirchi contemplated. Then we should make it up with his woman. We should protect her while she's enhancing her realm and accommodating Sing's power. You guys take care of her. I'm going to find the soul-refining cauldron. Perhaps it's still here. Dragon Lizard suddenly thought of an idea. Don't waste your efforts, Tu Shirchi laughed. The soul-refining cauldron is a divine weapon from the absolute beginning era. If that Soul Clan expert dares to lend his cauldron, he won't be afraid of losing it. Don't think about it. The tame divine weapon from the absolute beginning era can feel its master regardless of how far it is. Dragon Lizard hadn't given up on his idea yet. He ignored Tu Shirchi and flew toward his territory. The members of the Dragon Lizard clan slowly emerged from the caves in the Sea of Asteroids. When the battle began, Forefather Dragon Lizard had used his control power to Dragon Lizard Star to arrange them to safe areas to stay away from the battle. And now, after the battle had ended, Forefather Dragon Lizard called for his fellows. Those people received Forefather Dragon Lizard's orders and scattered to find the soul-refining cauldron. They hoped to see this divine weapon from the Soul Clan. Forefather Dragon Lizard landed and closed his eyes to sense. Then, he was shaken when he looked at an asteroid in the distance. That asteroid was shimmering. Although there was no one riding it, it was heading toward the Soul Clan. The asteroid had suppressed energy fluctuations, as if they were a warning to anyone who had the guts to come near. Some members of the Dragon Lizard clan saw the flying asteroid. They were moved, so they wanted to stop it. "Get back here, all of you!" Forefather Dragon Lizard screamed and called all of his fellows to get back. With a stern face, he said, "Its owner has it under control now. Don't go there to die." He was filled with fear, indeed. When the territory ancestor expert controlled the absolute beginning divine weapon, it could be very formidable. Since that person didn't use the cauldron to eliminate this area, he would have something that scared him. Perhaps because of the distance, he had to spend more energy for some other reasons. If Dragon Lizard clan members stopped the soul refining cauldron and enraged the others, the Dragon Lizard clan would disappear from this vast sea of stars. Forefather Dragon Lizard understood the situation quickly. Sighing, he returned to the asteroid where Audrey was sitting. Together with Tu Shi and his wife, they watched Audrey. After a long time, Ming Hong, the brutal soul, had also gone into the vortex. Audrey's host soul returned to her soul altar, and the vortex on her forehead disappeared. She finally opened her eyes. "Congratulations," Yuna praised and smiled at her. "With your cultivation base, if you're not disturbed, you will reach third sky of immortal realm soon. Haha, this time, you have the biggest fortune. If that kid knows you have such an auspicious chance, he will be very happy for you." Audrey knew what she had. Her cold face beamed strangely. "Thank you." Her host soul had always paid attention to the surroundings. Thanks to Tu Shi and Yun, Forefather Dragon Lizard didn't kill her. She had thanked them sincerely. "Yeah, I was a little rash. I owe that kid too. If he hadn't broken that phantom woman's plan, we couldn't have killed Sing." Forefather Dragon Lizard hesitated for a while, and then took out a pellet. He shot that pellet towards Audrey. "It's an immortal pellet. This is because I am thankful to him. I hope that when you see him, you can tell him that I'm sorry. It's true that I did think about killing him to take his soul." Audrey was thrilled. Her shaking fingers wrapped around the magical pellet that had helped Shi Yin enter the immortal realm. She knew that this pellet was made of a level 7 life star with billions of lives on it. Lizard had refined them personally. Also, this pellet was the focus of the Dragon Lizard Clan's festival. She had never thought that Forefather Dragon Lizard would give her one. With those souls from Sing, your attainment in the future won't be ordinary. Even now, you're strong enough to defend yourself. In this sea domain of nihility, aside from some dangerous areas, you can travel around, smiled Yun. Audrey held the immortal pellet tight. Her eyes twinkled as if she was considering something. After a while, she nodded to them and said, "See you later." She didn't explain anything or say more to Adams, Masha before directly flying away. Countless souls moved under her feet and gave her a terrifying aura. Also, her energy fluctuations weren't less than the warriors at Immortal Realm. "Forget it. I think she hates us too," Masha forced a smile. At the critical moment, Adams had pointed Audrey out to save his life. Although he didn't create a hopeless situation for her, Adams' deed was wrong. Masha and the others didn't have the face to go with Audrey. They could only see her leaving. "Here, it's for you." Tu Shi thought for a while, and then gave Masha a jet black token. "If the Heavenly Eye Clan wants to depend on our Mysterious Sky Clan, you can take this token to the Mysterious Sky Clan. We will accommodate you." Listening to him, Evelyn's, Adams, and Masha were so thrilled. Masha quivered while holding the token. Really? Our Heavenly Eye Clan can come to depend on your Mysterious Sky Clan? You really want to shelter us?" To give that kid face, Tu Shi didn't conceal anything and spoke casually. Masha, Evelyn's, and Adams shivered. Then, they looked in the direction Shi Yin had disappeared and thanked him inwardly. Usually, the 7 great clans would only accept second-class clans like the Water Tribe or the Dragon Lizard Clan to be their vassals. The Heavenly Eye Clan was just a third-class clan. They didn't have the qualifications to depend on the Mysterious Sky Clan. If they wanted to do that, they had to be a second-class clan. If they became dependent on the mysterious Sky Clan, they would receive many benefits. Later on, when the Heavenly Eye Clan had some disputes with the other clans, they could use the reputation of the mysterious Sky Clan to scare their opponents. If the Heavenly Eye Clan got into a dangerous situation, they could call the mysterious Sky Clan for help. The mysterious Sky Clan wouldn't just sit and watch them die. They had to protect those people to ensure loyalty from other dependent clans. Even if it wasn't their wish, they could at least ensure that the Heavenly Eye Clan wouldn't be hunted down to the last member. Most of the Heavenly Eye Clan's enemies were the third-class clan. With the mysterious Sky Clan as their background, it was going to be much easier for them to do many things. It had excited them more than having one immortal pellet from Forefather Dragon Lizard. Tu Shichi's promise was a safety assurance to their entire clan. They were wholeheartedly grateful for Shi Yin. They knew that Tu Shichi appreciated them because he wanted to give Shi Yin face. Just a small clan. It's okay if they want to depend on our Dragon Lizard clan. Why do you need to make it so big? Forefather Dragon Lizard and Tu Shichi landed on Dragon Lizard Star. Forefather Dragon Lizard asked because he couldn't understand Tu Shichi's motive. Haha, you don't understand, Tu Shichi smiled. If that kid knows we gave him face, he will have more good impressions of our mysterious Sky Clan. Earning his good impression will be precious in the future. The good impression given to a territory ancestor realm expert will be more important than accommodating 100 Heavenly Eye clans. He still needs to experience a lot to reach the territory ancestor realm. I'm just afraid that he will be killed before he could even reach the bottleneck, snorted Forefather Dragon Lizard. Chapter 1400, Skull Island. Chapter 1400, Skull Island. Underscore at this moment, Shi Yin was on edge between life and death. Shi Yin had turned into a starlight beam and moved zigzag across the dark, cold sea domain of nihility. Sometimes he flashed and disappeared, crossing many blind corners of spatial blind spots. The masked woman couldn't figure out his location. Sometimes, the starlight disappeared as if it had mingled with the void in this vast sea or stars, leaving no trace. He didn't dare to stop and rest for even a second. The phantom masked woman was like his shadow that never left him. Every time he slightly relaxed his nerves, the shadow approached instantly. A cold energy that chilled his heart seeped over from a long distance. After each minute, Shi Yin could feel the resentment and the murderous intention from the masked woman increase. The long pursuit didn't wear out her patience. It didn't make her think about giving it up. It only made her will stronger. Mwahaha, little brother, don't run. Jie promises to treat you well. You don't need to run across the entire sea. You are wasting your energy. Also, you're predestined to not be able to hide. How long can your cultivation base endure wasting energy? It'll drain one day. The masked woman giggled, her voice soft and tender. However, it was like a cold saber in Shi Yin's ears. The masked woman of the Phantom Clan massively resented Shi Yin. Her laughter became more tender and charming with the hope of making Shi Yin relax for a while. An expert with exquisite space power Upanishad was a nightmare to chase. Shi Yin had a profound cultivation base. His power Upanishads, his resolution, his patience and vigilance were all outstanding. After this perpetual pursuit, the masked woman also admired him. She was astounded because of his toughness and the pure, abundant energy he had. Shi Yin obviously had just reached the immortal realm. With his current realm and power, he should have been drained to death during this long pursuit. However, until now, Shi Yin was still vigorous like a dragon or a tiger. He didn't look like his power was about to run out. It surprised the masked woman a lot. She didn't know because of her massacre on Dragon Lizard Continent that many hiding aliens were killed. Shi Yin had taken in their essence chi after they died. The reason why Shi Yin could endure the whole pursuit was because of the essence chi from the dead. His energy was still abundant, and his god power ancient tree was still crystal and sparkling. Anyway, eventually, the refined energy from his acupuncture points was almost drained. As he didn't have time to gather energy or cultivate, he had only consumed energy all the time. Even if he had more energy, he could use it all in one day. Yin and the masked woman had come to the point where they competed with patience and endurance. When Yin found no more energy from the acupuncture points, he immediately swallowed 2 congealing spirit pellets that Yun had given him. When the pellets dissolved in his body, a new flow of energy flooded him. He became vigorous one more time. At the same time, he intended to show his whereabouts. Then, he tore the space curtain to teleport right after that. The masked woman looked so cold. When she found that Yin was running out of energy, he suddenly refilled it. This struck her confidence hard. Yin had stealthily attacked her on Dragon Star Continent. The world-within-world explosions had damaged her Snow Lotus and consumed a large amount of her energy. After a long pursuit, she had consumed a lot of her god power. If she wasn't in third sky of a mortal realm with profound and pure energy, she would not have endured until now. She wasn't content with this chase. Being an expert at the peak of a mortal realm, she was using her best power to chase after a small warrior who had just entered the immortal realm. If she didn't succeed, it was going to humiliate her for the rest of her life. Thus, even if she had to endure more wounds, she still gritted her teeth to endure. She had to capture Yin and then torment him to death. Yin began to worry. The 2 congealing spirit pellets were his last methods. After he had used up the energy from the 2 pellets, he had to depend on the energy in his god power ancient tree to continue running away. Along his way, he needed to use a huge amount of energy for each teleport. If he didn't have the energy from the acupuncture points, he would have been drained to death already. Thus, seeing the masked woman chase behind him, he had to teleport all the time. If he didn't, she could catch up to him quickly. Feeling the god power draining, he knew that he couldn't dodge this kappa. It was just like what the masked woman had told him. When the Phantom Clan masked woman knew he had dark energy, she wanted to recruit him and make him the male guest of her Phantom Clan. However, as soon as she found that he had a wisp of a soul of an absolute beginning creature, she changed her mind. Just like Dragon Lizard, she was at the peak of a mortal realm. She just needed to control dark energy to break through to Territory Ancestor Realm. She just needed to kill Yin and then refine him to stimulate the absolute beginning creature soul. That's how she could seize the chance to enter the Territory Ancestor Realm. It was much more attractive than taking him to the Phantom Clan and making him their distinguished guest. No matter what, Yin had to run continuously. Otherwise, he would be killed and refined. The sea domain of nihility had countless asteroids, broken pieces of stars, cosmic dust, and debris everywhere. Yin could see many pieces of broken continents. A massive island was flashing and floating in the dark void ahead of him. That island was pale white. When it emerged, it had some kind of energy that made it hide one more time. Yin had good senses to capture strange things. He pondered and then accelerated toward that island. Piercing through a thick layer of pale white mist, he appeared in the atmosphere of the island. Shortly after, the gravity that was hundreds of times stronger applied to him. He felt grumblingly like a meteor on the island. He dug a cave on the island. Crawling out of the cave, he urged his power to move dozens of meters. Looking at the vast land, the mountains and ditches, he was frightened. This island was so massive it was around 10 times bigger than the Immortal Island. At first glance, the entire island was filled with wild bones. Yin could see humanoid skeletons, bee skeletons, and alien skeletons. Most of them weren't complete. They were smashed into pieces and scattered around the island. Vaguely, some of them had created some sort of formation. When Yin was observing the surroundings, the masked woman from the Phantom Clan reached this island. The island looked different in her eyes. She concentrated on it and found the entire island a massive skull moving in the void. It had 2 hollow eye sockets and a massive mouth, which were 3 bottomless caves. Dated by Novelful. The massive skull island shook and released strange and evil waves of energy. It looked like the skull was adjusting something to prevent people from seeing it. The Skull Island of the White Bone Clan. The masked woman was surprised and hesitant. She knew that this Skull Island was the territory of the White Bone Clan. If she intruded it, she could cause a dispute and offend the members of the White Bone Clan. However, she wasn't content. She had chased after him for a long time. She wasn't going to let him go from here. After hesitating for a while, she called sternly, "Meiji of the Phantom Clan, I want to land on the island for a matter. I wonder which friend from the White Bone Clan is staying on this island?" She revealed her identity and called toward the floating Skull Island. Lit. A charming woman, concubine, or female entertainer. The Skull Island was still flashing. The empty sockets shimmered with bizarre lights. No one answered her. Then, "I'm sorry for offending," Meiji thought, and then called out gently. She headed toward the massive Skull Island. Through the pale white mist, her sexy body landed on the island. Although the gravity here was hundreds of times stronger, she was still floating and slowly descending like a fairy. Her cold eyes raked around to search. She didn't see Yin. She snorted and used her soul consciousness to check. Her soul consciousness was like a thick mesh net lowering from the sky to cover every small corner. The island appeared as a skull with countless piles of white bones in different sections. At this moment, while Meiji was releasing her soul consciousness to search, her soul energy seemed to activate some kind of gravitational formation. She saw 3 spots where white bones with strange and malicious aura shimmering gathered. The hollow sockets of the massive skull suddenly sparkled in white, eccentric lights. It flashed and then disappeared. "I'm here just to find a person. I'm not going to disturb your cultivating time. Please forgive me." Meiji seemed afraid of the White Bone Clan a lot. While using her soul consciousness to search, she screamed tenderly to show that she didn't have any evil intention and that she had no choice but to land on the island. Swish. Meiji's sexy body swayed and then flew toward a pile of white bones. Boom, boom, boom. The white bones were smashed and it revealed Yin. He immediately urged his power Upanishad to teleport. Boom. A strange energy grumblingly released from the thick white mist above his head. The space was bound to so many layers of clouds. Yan's space power Upanishad was restricted. He couldn't build a space bridge to teleport. He stood up and looked at Meiji coming with a faint smile. His eyes suddenly filled with brutal and savage intention. "Then I should risk my life in a nice battle." Roaring like a caged animal, his god power surged all. At the same time, he stimulated the power of his blood. The bone wings appeared on his back while armor with spikes covered his body. Yin decided not to retain anything in this battle. He was going to urge the death power Upanishad and swallow power Upanishad to the acme. To save his life, he wasn't going to hesitate to pay any price. A brutal, murderous aura shot out of his body. While his thoughts were changing, the death and life power Upanishad circulated first. Shortly after, the soul burial field of death power Upanishad was created. Magically, billions of twinkling light dots flew out from countless pieces of bones. They were like fireflies or raindrops that congregated on Yin. Meiji swiftly came forward. With begrudging eyes, she couldn't help but furrow her brows. "I said I don't want to disturb you. I'm here to capture this person." She thought that the members of the White Bone Clan on this Skull Island suddenly took action. She didn't think that the light dots from the white bones were related to Yin. There was no sound replying to her from the Skull Island. Meiji snorted. She didn't say more. Her agile, while hands snatched over Yan's head like a venomous snake. The chilling aura like a glacier stormed and seeped into Yan's body. Shortly after, his body began to freeze. Chapter 1401, A Little Skeleton. Chapter 1401, A Little Skeleton. Under billions of light dots flew out of the white bones and flooded Yin. The cold, sinister energy dots hovered around Yin and merged with the soul burial field, giving him the ability to control this new energy. At the same time, Meiji of the Phantom Clan took action. Her white hand snatched toward him from a distance like an agile snake. The cold energy seeped into Yan's soul altar and made his entire body make cracked sounds. He could even see his body slowly freeze and frost. The space around him was frozen, while the white bones underneath had become crystal-like ice sticks. Everything was frozen under Meiji's power. Meiji was a member of the Phantom Clan. She was born with a gift of a mind-controlling technique. While she was talking to someone, her laughter or even a wince was enough to enchant and capture the other's mind. Her hot, sexy body made people think that she had lived a life of debauchery. In her nature, she was cold and dark. She also cultivated ice power Upanishad. However, she just needed to use the soul-enchanting technique to kill her enemies. When she attacked Yin, because of his tough will and the Origin's flames, she had to use her real power Upanishad. Crack, crack, crack. The soul of freezing echoed continuously. Meiji's eyes were so cold and her voluptuous body was filled with the extremely cold energy. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Billions of twinkling dots twirling around Yin had become mist under the cold energy. A thick mist now covered Yin. However, Yan's eyes were bright inside the mist. His mind and soul weren't affected at all. His sword-like fingernails suddenly received energy from the mist when his power Upanishad switched. Swish. His hands tore the mist. The dead silent energy bloomed from his fingertips. 10 pale flames that were like soul-taking chains attacked and attempted to coil Meiji's jade-like neck. They didn't even care about layers of her cold energy. Meiji's eyes were so cold as she talked. I am Meiji from the Phantom Clan. I've made myself clear that I don't want to trouble you. If you help this kid deal with me, don't blame me for not giving face to your White Bone Clan. The aura from the 10 pale flames was the unique aura of the White Bone Clan. It made her think that someone was helping Yin discreetly. That's how he could expose such powerful attacks. Then, Meiji spurted an ice lotus. The lotus had icy, crystal petals. Inside the petal, some sort of white flames were flickering as if they had life energy. The 10 pale flames wanted to avoid the ice lotus, but the flames inside the petals had attracted them. Unexpectedly, they got rid of Yan's soul control and went to the ice lotus. The ice lotus then clinked and murmured like a running stream. The 10 white flames subsided and slowly disappeared. Kill. A red sea gushed out from Yan's chest like a giant dragon soaring out of the abyss. The blood-red sea suddenly condensed into a bloodthirsty 100-meter-tall demogorgon. Its body was like a mountain with a pair of red iron, anchor-like claws. Its claws then pounded on Meiji's head. Meiji's bright eyes were frightened. She looked at the demogorgon made of the bloody sword and was panic-stricken. It was the secret technique of the Dark Demon Clan. Who was this kid? How has he mastered all the strange and rare techniques? She rose one hand to grab something, and a radiant ice mirror emerged. The ice mirror reflected countless icy light beams that shot away like ice sabers. The giant claw of the demogorgon slashed on the ice mirror. A loud clang boomed, but the ice mirror stood still. Meiji didn't look at the mirror. Her snake-like body twisted a little. Then, all of a sudden, the ice walls were conjured beneath, above, and around Yin, pressing on him and confining him. A lot of tricks. You have dark energy, but you don't know how to use its real power. Otherwise, it would not be easy to capture you at all. Meiji sneered and walked towards Yin, placing one of her ivory hand on the ice wall. The cold energy increased several times. The ice walls were now connected to each other, forming a cube where Yin was frozen inside. His skeleton, body, nerves, consciousness, and even his train of thought stopped. His soul altar was freezing altogether. He became an alive ice sculpture. Meiji looked content. She exhaled in relief and then mumbled, "My job is done here. I won't bother you more. Friend, if you have time to visit the Phantom Clan, Meiji will welcome you personally." She looked at the clear void of the Skull Island and used her Phantom Clan's etiquette to bow and bid farewell. Afterward, she placed one hand on the massive ice cube and was about to leave the Skull Island. After she had left this place for a long distance, she was going to slowly refine Yin, which would give her a chance to enter the territory ancestor realm. While she was about to leave, if someone could see from the outside, he would see a faint halo on the hollow sockets of the Skull Island. The skull seemed to wake up and regain life. Swoosh, swoosh. 2 snow-white bone dragons around hundreds of meters long flew out of the skull's hollow eye sockets. The dragons were covered with white bones. Their eyes and the heads had strange and precious stones inlaid in their white bodies. As soon as they flew out, they aimed at Meiji. One of the snow-white dragons opened its mouth to gush out a deep green stream that smelled sour and pungent. Apparently, it was extremely toxic. The other dragon fluttered its bone wings and created 2 tornadoes with Meiji as their target. Meiji felt cold inwardly. She couldn't help but scream. Our Phantom Clan and your White Bone Clan have never offended each other, but you're attacking me. Do you want to start a dispute between our 2 clans? There was no answer from the Skull Island. Meiji took a deep breath. She pulled herself together and became so stern. She had to drop Yin down first. The dangerous aura that the 2 white bone dragons had given her wasn't less than Qi and his wife. Moreover, she knew that the bone slaves that the White Bone Clan refined didn't suffer from pain or death. They could even destroy their own bodies. They were terrifying puppets indeed. If she was at her peak condition, even if she had to grab Yin with one hand, she wouldn't be afraid of the 2 bone dragons. But right now, Yin's world-within-world shattering had damaged her on Dragon Lizard Star, and after a long pursuit, her condition wasn't really good. She didn't have even half of the energy she had accumulated. Thus, she couldn't keep Yin on her side and leave while fighting against another enemy. Yin was now an ice sculpture imprisoned inside the ice cube. His soul and body were all frozen. In his body, only one spot had energy that fluctuated. It was the tier of heaven flames. The sea of fire created by the heaven flames had never extinguished. It slowly burned and woke up his co-soul. They warmed and gradually awakened the frozen second soul. The 2 bone dragons stormed towards Meiji with a river of toxins and tornadoes. Meiji had urged her power Upanishad. The icy chi twirled around her. The ice sabers, icicles, swords, and even the snowstorm were conjured. However, she could only resist the 2 dragons. Her new fearsome mask was torn, and so were her clothes. Her glowing white skin that looked like shining jade was exposed. It was too bad that the dragons didn't take in or admire her marvelous sexy body. Yin could do that, but he was still frozen. The massive, abyss-like mouth of the Skull Island strangely moved. A small figure crawled out of the mouth and jumped towards Meiji. After one jump, he could glide through the distance that even the bone dragons couldn't fly through. The bone feet landed grumblingly and shook the entire Skull Island. It was a little skeleton that was around 4 feet. Each bone of this skeleton was shining and transparent like a crystal. The skeleton was glowing and it looked pretty bizarre. To the White Bone Clan, with this height, this skeleton was just a child. It was going to need a long time to reach adulthood. The skeleton was moving at breakneck speed. It was closer to Meiji after each second. The White Bone Clan was a unique clan. The children in their clan weren't born in their mother's womb. Each child of this clan was refined by its parents. The parents would gather many pieces of white bone. The white bones formed the skeletons of the powerful creatures. Bone Pond in the White Bone Clan was used to refine them. This process took hundreds of years, or even 10,000 years. Taking in the energy from billions of pieces of bones submerged in the Bone Pond, a new child of the White Bone Clan slowly formed. After the bone body was formed, its parents carried out soul intercourse, which would use their soul essence and energy to create a life seed. Then, that life seed would be planted into the bone body. After many years, the bone body and the seed fused together. Then, a new child of the White Bone Clan was born. It was true that it was extremely tough for the White Bone Clan to reproduce. It would take several thousand years, or even 10,000 years to give birth to a child in the White Bone Clan. As it was so difficult to give birth to children in the White Bone Clan, of course, the newborn babies were very different from ordinary people. Normally, if the parents of the kid were powerful enough and they had prepared rare but precious bones for it, when the bone body was formed, it was already intimidating. It could even be as strong as an immortal realm expert. Also, if the parents had powerful and profound souls, the life seed created from their soul intercourse was extremely extraordinary. Normally, when a child of the White Bone Clan was born, it had already reached King God Realm. If its parents were more formidable, it could reach Ethereal God Realm or Original God Realm. And it wasn't strange for an incipient God Realm baby to be born after the life seed was activated. The white bone child was galloping towards Meiji. There were so many mysterious and magical absolute beginning symbols on its little skull. On its way, it had grumblingly stomped on the bone ground of the Skull Island, which was like a terrifying earthquake. The power from this pair of bony feet was actually so formidable that even the immortal realm experts couldn't have such power. This little skeleton had reached at least the immortal realm. It was small, but its realm was very high. There was no need to wonder how fierce its parents were. Chapter 1402, A Turn for the Better. Chapter 1402, A Turn for the Better. Boom. A small, white crystal skeleton descended from the sky and steadied between the two skeleton dragons. The bone dragons furiously attacked Meiji and suddenly retracted, crouching like two nice hounds by the skeleton's feet, their rolling eyes serval. Meiji was bewildered. Her bright eyes looked surprised. She looked at the little skeleton of the White Bone clan, her charming face extremely stunned. She knew how the White Bone clan members produced the next generation. She understood clearly that even if the White Bone clan parents were at the peak of a mortal realm, they couldn't give birth to such a terrifying child. She could feel the tremendous energy from this little buddy from the White Bone clan. His energy fluctuated and made her heart beat anxiously faster. Meiji became frightened. She was so frightened when she looked at the Skull Island underneath. She became gingerly and didn't dare to act rashly anymore. The parents that could refine such a formidable child had unimaginably profound realms. If this sort of character was on the island, they were likely the most powerful warriors of the White Bone clan. The white crystal little skeleton didn't have a bit of flesh on it. Its eyes were inlaid with star-like, precious gemstones. One of the two gemstones was white, and the other was red. They separately released burning and freezing energies. As the skeleton was gazing at her, Meiji was scared. The small skeleton had a heart core, which was something unknown but illuminating. The heart core was the source of energy of the White Bone clan. It functioned like the god power ancient tree of the other races. It was really complicated to create the heart core. It was also related to the stimulation of the life seed and the materials needed to refine the child. The energy in this little skeleton seemed to be endless. Meiji thought that this kid was mysterious and dangerous at the same time. Crack, crack. The two dragons smacked their jaws as if they were little puppies. They twisted their bodies to describe something to the little skeleton, and the bones on their bodies even shook. The star-like eyes of the little skeleton twinkled as it was listening to the bone dragons. Then, it looked at Shi Yin. Fire burst out of its eye. It was dazzling, and it immediately aimed at the ice cube. The ice cube created by Meiji's cold energy was like snow that was roasted on a fire. It melted down immediately. Shi Yin resumed his spirit and body functions. He looked at the small skeleton and screamed in fear. With his profound power Upanishads, he could have a precise understanding of lunar stars and solar stars. The white and red eyes of the skeleton were the lunar nucleus and the solar nucleus respectively. Shi Yin could feel the hot energy from the red eye, which was not less than the combination of 10 suns. It was extremely formidable. He believed that if this little skeleton detonated the solar energy in its left eye, it was enough to burn hundreds of life stars into ashes or turn immortal realm experts into charcoal. The intimidation of that scorching energy had frightened the heaven flame inside his brain. Under such a look, he felt his blood evaporating. And the other was controlling its power precisely. Similarly, the right eye of the little skeleton was made of a lunar nucleus. It was cold and filled with een and some marvelous powers. He's the enemy that I have to kill. Child, are your parents here? I am Meiji of the Phantom Clan. I don't want to create any misunderstanding with your White Bone clan. I was wrong when I've entered your precious land, but I was begrudging. Please. Meiji immediately used her soft voice to explain when she saw the little skeleton rescuing Shi Yin from the ice cube. At this moment, her mast was torn and her clothes were ragged. Her delicate waist and creamy thighs were discernible. Her assets could boil any man's blood. However, It didn't work on the little skeleton as its eyes moved swiftly and focused on Shi Yin. It didn't even mind Meiji's explanation. Shi Yin was filled with surprise. He could feel the subtle and marvelous aura from the skeleton, which was creeping on him as if it was trying to pull the thread of his cocoon. This kid of the White Bone clan was using some special technique to check Shi Yin's secrets. That strange energy moved around his veins, sea of consciousness and soul altar. Meiji's charming face grimaced. The feeling of being ignored made her feel insulted as she was used to being the focus of the crowd. However, she didn't dare to do anything. She wasn't so sure if this little skeleton's parents were on this Skull Island too. If they were, their realm was likely higher than hers. She couldn't recognize them, and she didn't have the power to resist. Asterisk 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 asterisk. After a while, the little skeleton pointed at Shi Yin while making some strange noises as if it was talking about something. Shi Yin was bewildered. He shook his head continuously. I don't understand. The memories of languages from the Heavenly Eye clan didn't contain this language. Apparently, the skeleton wasn't using a common language. Shi Yin didn't understand anything. Meiji of the Phantom clan was also puzzled. Her beautiful, exquisite eyebrows furrowed. After a while, her eyes brightened. The language of the previous generation of the White Bone clan. She placed an emerald ring on her forehead. A green light rippled from the ring and disappeared into her head. He's my captive. Meiji immediately understood what the little skeleton said. She was enraged. You want him to go with you? Why do you have to ask that? She was speaking a common language, but the small skeleton apparently understood her. Its line of sight moved from Shi Yin to Meiji. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The skeleton spoke in the strange language again. It sounded angry as light rolled in its eyes. Meiji wore a cold face and shook her head continuously. No, he's my captive. I don't care what you want. I have to take this man away. You little kid. Don't you understand? Have your parents taught you how to behave? The little skeleton was just angry, but it didn't do anything. However, when Meiji mentioned its parents, she seemed to have ignited its wrath. The skeleton let out a low roar. The terrifying energy fluctuations inside the Skull Island seemed to activate with the mysterious formation in the skeleton's eyes. The mysterious symbols on the skeleton's skull twinkled like stars. Then, brilliant, star-like spots appeared on its skeleton. They were like its acupuncture points. Shi Yin gawked and his eyes radiated the magical light. He cultivated star power Upanishad, so at first glance, he knew that those were the real stars. They were refined stars that functioned as the acupuncture points of this little skeleton. At this moment, so many twinkling stars began to diffuse the surging star energy. Unexpectedly, this little bony thing had mastered the star power Upanishad like him. What do you want? Meiji was also frightened. Actually, she wasn't afraid of this little skeleton. She was scared of the members of the ancient White Bone clan who could be properly hiding in this Skull Island. This little skeleton spoke a language of the White Bone clan's previous generation that no one used now. From this point, his parents was likely terrifyingly ancient too. If they were hiding in the Skull Island, let alone Meiji, even if her clan's territory ancestor realm expert came here, she couldn't do anything. Swish, swish, swish. The bunches of light fell like meteors. They came out from different areas of the Skull Island, and as the skeleton was guiding them, they moved toward Meiji. Meiji was panic-stricken when the lights focused on her. She didn't hesitate to take out the snow lotus to cover her body entirely. At the same time, she urged her ice power Upanishad to freeze her own body. When the ice mountain emerged, her sexy body was preserved inside the peak of the ice mountain. The skeleton hissed strangely and guided the starlight winding around the ice mountain peak like chains. Right after that, a scarlet light column shot out from its left eye and attacked the peak. The ice on the mountain peak melted fast under the scorching heat of the red light. Those meteor-like lights were ready to attack right when the peak all melted. Meiji screamed inwardly. If she was in her best condition, she wouldn't have been so passive in dealing with this kind of attack. However, at this moment, she could only defend and she couldn't spend extra energy to counterattack. She knew that unless the energy of the scarlet light was drained, she would never be able to get rid of this peak safely. The little skeleton didn't mind her at all. Seeing her confined for the time being, its anger subsided. Then, it turned to Shi Yin and gestured while speaking its alien language. Shi Yin could see the begging gleam in its little eyes. It seemed to treat Shi Yin a lot better than it treated Meiji. I don't understand what you're saying, but it seems like you want to take me somewhere. Okay, no problem, said Shi Yin nonchalantly. This little member of the White Bone clan wasn't weaker than Meiji, and this was the Skull Island, the White Bone clan's territory. If he had harmful intentions, Shi Yin couldn't hide. He'd better stay quiet and see what this little buddy wanted to do. Shi Yin made up his mind fast. The little skeleton understood him. Its eyes brightened when Shi Yin agreed to go with it. Then, it pointed at one of the bone dragons. The bone dragon roared and flew toward Shi Yin, crouching down under his feet. The little skeleton pointed at Shi Yin and then the bone dragon, asking him to get on it. All right, Shi Yin was cooperative. He stepped on the bone dragon. He was surprised to see that the bone dragon was smooth and felt warm like real jade. The little skeleton rode the other bone dragon. Swoosh, swoosh. The two bone dragons took Shi Yin and the skeleton away. They disappeared from Meiji's sight. They flew toward the massive, dark mouth of the skull and entered the huge crack instantly. Meiji glared at Shi Yin being taken away, but she couldn't do anything. Her resentment grew bigger. The scarlet light column was like a flaming thread unceasingly burning the ice peak that she had condensed. The starlight chains wound around the peak with terrifying energy, waiting to strike her hard when the ice all melted. Damn it! Whose kid is that? How could it be so abnormal like that? Meiji cursed. She felt bothersome thinking about the peerless experts of the White Bone clan from the previous generation. Chapter 1403, Parents' Love. Chapter 1403, Parents' Love. The White Bone clan's little skeleton brought Shi Yin deep into the Skull Island through a massive, mouth-like cave. It was a dark area where Shi Yin couldn't see anything. The bone dragons flapped their wings and moved through a dim-lit passage. After a while, Shi Yin finally saw a band of pale white light. It was like phosphorus flames from the bones. Shi Yin was placid as he sent his energy to his eyes to have better eyesight. The dim-lit area became clearer to him. This area was surrounded by stone walls. Those walls looked ash-gray, and they were actually decayed bones. Many mysterious drawings were carved on the walls, including the moon, the sun, the stars, mountains, and even lakes. They looked lively as if they were real. After a while, the dragon bones stopped. The poorly illuminated cave suddenly brightened. Two bone dragons stopped by a massive stone room, which was the center of the Skull Island. This was a spaciously massive room that connected to 49 stone paths. Those 49 paths were like big ditches that connected to different areas on Skull Island. Piles of ash-gray bones stood in the paths. Those bones didn't have any bit of energy remaining. When Shi Yin released his soul consciousness to sense, they turned into ashes. The stone room had many ditches like a network of channels that created a massive, unknown formation. Two coffins stood in the center of the formation. They were made of unknown materials. The coffins were opened and standing in the middle of a massive bone pond. This bone pond must have had some liquid, but it was all dried up now. The little skeleton of the White Bone clan stopped by the two coffins. The eyes made of stars of the skeleton contained its deep sorrow. The atmosphere in this stone chamber was affected by the skeleton's mood. Sadness was hovering in the air. The little skeleton's head turned around to take in the two coffins. Shi Yin silently walked forward. He saw two members of the White Bone clan, one male and one female, lie inside the coffins. Apparently, these two White Bone clan experts were the parents of this child. They lay quietly. There was no aura or life energy fluctuation. Their bones were brown-gray like bones that decayed for many years. They looked fragile, as if they would break when someone touched them. Watching the coffins and the bone pond for a while, Shi Yan's eyes brightened. The two coffins had many long bones that reached the bone pond. They looked as if they were used to transport something into the pond. Shi Yan became more curious. He observed around and found that the paths and the ditches in the room all headed to the two coffins. They were likely used to pour some energy into the two coffins to refine, and then pour into the bone pond to nurture something it bore. He looked at the little skeleton and understood it immediately. He had heard something about how the White Bone Clan had refined the children from Evelyn's. It seemed like this kid's parents had used the mysterious power of the White Bone Clan to condense the energy from the bones on this Skull Island and use their bodies to refine the energy and pour into the bone pond. All this was to refine the bone body for this little skeleton. After the bone body was formed, something happened. His parents had to drain their own life energy to create him. They died in the end. During this process, something unexpected happened. Otherwise, this couple wouldn't have sacrificed themselves. While he was thinking, the little skeleton looked at him and then pointed at his parents inside the coffins. He spoke and gestured. He was trying to tell Shi Yan something. Although Shi Yan didn't understand anything, he could guess the skeleton's idea. He shook his head and sighed. Your parents don't have any bit of energy. They are dead. I'm afraid I can't do anything. The White Bone Clan little skeleton shook his head continuously. The scarlet and white lights shot out from his eyes and fell on the brown-gray male skeleton. Strangely, a feeble wisp of soul energy fluctuated for a fragment of time. The little skeleton's eyes brightened. He pointed at his father's body, crying and speaking to Shi Yan. Shi Yan was surprised. He concentrated on sensing. Then, he found a feeble soul energy fluctuation in the skull of the White Bone Clan male member. However, his life energy was drained, but there was a feeble wisp of soul energy, even though it wasn't enough to wake him up. Unless his bone body had vitality. The little skeleton pointed to Shi Yan and gestured hard. Then, he lay into the bone pond and released the vitality. His vitality moved through the white bones connected to the pond and the coffins, but it couldn't get through the coffin to pour into his parents' bodies. Shi Yan observed, and he understood it. A strange feeling flooded him. The stone chamber inside this Skull Island was a peculiar formation of the White Bone Clan. A White Bone Clan couple wanted their kid to be powerful, so they had spent a lot of effort to build the formation, which took their energy through the coffins and poured vitality into the bone pond. The coffin and the bone pond were parts of this marvelous formation. However, it seemed like there was some big problem that happened during the process, which could harm the child. This couple had drained their life energy to save their child. Also, they had become so weak that they had just a wisp of a feeble soul energy. There was not even a little bit of vitality left in their bodies. This little bony buddy had found that Shi Yan cultivated life power Upanishad, so he hoped that Shi Yan could change this formation to pour energy into the pond and make it run back into the coffins. The little skeleton wanted to use his vitality to wake up his parents. How deep was a parent's love in this world? Shi Yan shook his head with emotions. This strange formation only receives vitality. We can't use the bone pond to guide energy back to the coffins. Your parents knew that you would do that in the future. They didn't let you do that. They hoped that you wouldn't pay with your life to revive them. The grief in the small skeleton became heavier. It opened its mouth and pointed to Shi Yan. He looked a little anxious and restless. Shi Yan gave him a forced smile. It's true that I'm cultivating life power Upanishad, but my realm isn't high enough to distort this marvelous formation. All right, I can use the life power Upanishad to try. Let's see if my vitality can help your parents. The little skeleton nodded continuously, his eyes bright. He clasped his bony hands and bowed to Shi Yan, which made him look funny. I can only give it a try. You shouldn't have such big hopes. Shi Yan stepped forward and placed one hand on the heart core of the male skeleton. The heart core was the energy source of the White Bone Clan members. It functioned similarly to the god power ancient tree of the warriors. This man's heart core was rhombus spade and simple as if it was made of natural jade. The heart core was cold under his hand. However, it had no energy fluctuation. It was like a still, stagnant pond. Sure Yin was cautiously urging his life power Upanishad. A drop of blood emerged on his fingertip, which had vigorous vitality that could revive the dry tree. Sizzle. His drop of blood fell on the heart core. The heart core absorbed that drop of blood instantly like a dry sponge. The heart core flashed and Sure Yin heard a heartbeat. Right after that, the coffin emitted an immense white light. The ivory light moved through the bones connected to the coffin to the bone pond. The dry pond suddenly had some viscous liquid. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The little skeleton cried painfully in the bottom of the bone pond. He looked so pitiful that he seemed to be going crazy. Sure Yin was bewildered. He hadn't expected that these parents from the White Bone clan only wanted to save their child before they died. The energy he had poured into the skeleton had followed the old path through the coffin to the bone pond. All they had done was for the little skeleton in the bone pond. They didn't even mind their lives. Sure Yin came from another world. His parents had gone early. Although he had inherited a big fortune from his parents, he had never experienced this sort of sacrificing parental love. Ever since he had come to this world, he had rarely been touched. And today, he was deeply touched when he knew the way the two skeletons in the coffins had used to protect their child. If we pour energy into the coffins, it will be poured into the bone pond afterward. To bring you to this world, they had sacrificed as much as they could. Sure Yin took a deep breath and then said, "We can't use this method. How about moving them out of the coffins, and then I will try again. What do you think?" The little skeleton balled his body in a corner of the bone pond. It was crying silently in pain and hopelessness. It was almost desperate. Hearing Sure Yin's suggestion, it pulled itself together, nodded to Sure Yin, and jumped out of the pond. They were about to move his father's body out of the coffin. Right when it was about to take action, the Skull Island shook hard. A furious energy fluctuation came from the area above Sure Yin's head. The little skeleton was extremely enraged. Hesitated for a while. It decided to go out and see. However, it was worried about Sure Yin, so it ordered the bone dragon to protect Sure Yin. Sure Yin was surprised. He didn't know that Meiji of the Phantom clan could be so powerful to get rid of the confinement that quickly. Dash. Skull Island. A cold ice mountain peak was coiled by so many lights. A flaming chain was releasing scorching heat to melt the ice peak. The ice peak confined Meiji's graceful body. However, fear had filled her beautiful eyes on her charming, pale face. She looked afar. In the mist above her head, two silhouettes slowly landed. They were two old, dry men with thick corpse chi. They all wore strange green robes with a drawing of a mysterious black hole on the left chest. They were all lanky with deep green, spooky eyes and bluish-green skin. Their arms were strangely long, and they could reach their calves. However, their hands had only 3 fingers, which were as sharp as swords. The deep green eyes looked at Meiji like venomous eyes that gazed at a delicious prey. Meiji's visage changed dramatically. At first glance, she knew the two old men's identities. Shivers sent down her spine. Rumble, rumble. Right after they had landed, the Skull Island was shaken grumblingly. This powerful tremor was what Sure Yin and the little skeleton had found. Meiji didn't create this commotion. A member of the Phantom clan, snorted one of the old men. He naturally strolled toward Meiji and mumbled to himself, "Oh, the unfathered kid has confined her. I am Meiji from the Phantom clan. Friends from Devouring clan. I wonder why you are visiting this island? If you want to attack the White Bone clan members on this island, we can negotiate." Meiji giggled. She honestly and passionately looked at the 2 members of the Devouring clan, proactively showing her cooperative intention. Unfortunately, the other 2 didn't have the same idea. They suddenly attacked her. As soon as the old man approached her, he opened his mouth to spurt a python made of corpse chi. The python began to dig into the ice mountain from the foot. The ice cracked and broke as the python wanted to climb up and bite Meiji. Chapter 1404. The Real Origin of the Soul Inside the Ring. Chapter 1404. The Real Origin of the Soul Inside the Ring. Until the python made of corpse chi continuously nibbled the ice and cracked it from the foot. The white python then turned into a bright mist under the ice mountain and then seeped into the mountain. Shortly after, an arm-sized rope coiled around Meiji. Boom, boom, boom. The ice peak exploded. Countless ice rocks shattered. The meteor-like beams of light and the flaming chain turned into a flow of light that disappeared into the ground of the Skull Island. Meiji suddenly understood something. The little skeleton of the White Bone clan didn't want to kill or harm her. The starlight beams and the flaming chain hovering around just wanted to bind her and prevent her from running away. After the ice peak exploded, those lights and flames disappeared into the ground. It was enough to prove that the little skeleton didn't want to kill her. Otherwise, those meteor-like lights and flames could have seized the chance to destroy her when the python broke the ice. She would have been hurt badly or even killed. The old man from the devouring clan was surprised when he looking at the lights and flames disappearing into the ground. He frowned and then sneered. That illegitimate child is kind enough to not attack her brutally. It spared her life. Haha, it's good then. He gave me a good advantage this time. His shiny bluish face was like snakeskin. It gave a cold and evil impression. At this moment, he grinned fiendishly and lustily. His deep green eyes lingered on Meiji's sexy body. He gulped and laughed eccentrically. The women of the Phantom clan are all heavenly treasures. Haha, she's at the same realm as him. It's true that you can't stop your fortune when it comes to you. I'm going to make you a corpse slave, and you will serve me every day. It's the best thing in the world. Excellent. The white python wound around Meiji's delicate waist, her round rear end, and her ample breasts. It squeezed her white, jade-like skin, leaving the red marks on it. This cruel, beautiful sadism could ignite any man's desire and burn their mind instantly. The two old men of the devouring clan had naked lust fill their eyes. The old man standing further away even had a boner in his pants. His blood chi was running chaotically. He couldn't help but let out a low shout. Bastos, give this woman to me. I want her for 10 years. After 10 years, I will return her to you. Just say that she's one of the payment you have to give to me this time. The green lines like venomous snakes were moving inside his pupils. The other old man, who was called Bastos, twitched. His eyes greedily scanned Meiji's body several times. He took a deep breath to pull himself together. Nazario, I can let you keep this woman for 10 years. But you have agreed with me that you have to do your best to deal with that rascal from the White Bone clan. No problem. Nazario licked his lip. The two old men from the devouring clan came here for the little skeleton. They had accidentally met Meiji here. Women of the Phantom clan were famous treasures in this vast cosmos. Every man would treasure them as their most precious asset. Unfortunately, the Phantom clan was one of the 7 great clans. Each of the female warriors of this clan was powerful and noble. Not many people could capture the Phantom clan women to enjoy the endless pleasure that they could bring. Meiji was at the peak of a mortal realm. With her power, when she was at her peak condition, she wouldn't fall into a disadvantageous situation when facing these two old men from the devouring clan. It was too bad for her that her condition was really bad at this moment. Thus, the corpse chi python could capture her and send the corpse chi into her body to affect her. The corpse chi slowly affected her flesh and blood. She could feel her flexible body go numb and stiff. Whenever she tried to urge her energy and power Upanishad, the python squeezed her tighter as if it wanted to have her right at her waist. She gritted her teeth and felt so resentful upon listening to the two old men talk. As she opened her mouth to talk, the corpse chi flooded her mouth. Thus, she decided to shut up. Meiji felt utterly insulted. She loathed the two old men, Yin and the little skeleton too. She thought that if the other two didn't trick her, with her full power, she wouldn't be afraid of these two sinister, vulgar old men. Thinking about the mantis green eyes of the two old men and their sharp fingers, which would possibly slide on her beautiful, soft body in the future, she got goosebumps. Her heart was filled with cold despair. She had made up her mind. If she couldn't find a chance to overturn this, she was going to use her power Upanishad to freeze her body and then self-detonate before the corpse chi invaded her sea of consciousness fully. Even if she had to die, She was never going to let herself fall to these two devouring clans' old men. She'd rather die than live like that. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Flapping sounds arose. The two snow-white bone dragons had come back and appeared in Meiji's sight. Meiji's eyes brightened. She looked at the little skeleton and Shi Yin riding the bone dragons with the hope for a new change to this situation. Child born out of wedlock. You can't believe I'm here for you, right? You hurt me last time. I have to spend a lot of time to recover. Today, I'm not alone. I'm here with the power of two experts at the peak of a mortal realm. Let's see how you can protect your parents' bodies. Mwahaha, I've talked to Nazario. We will each keep one of your parents. After we refine them into corpse slaves, they will be powerful assistants for us to swagger. The devouring clan member called Bastos grinned fiendishly and eccentrically. His eyes raked through the skeleton riding the bone dragon. He didn't even give Shi Yin a look. The aura on Shi Yin's body was ordinary to him. While Shi Yin hadn't emerged yet, he had already confirmed his realm and cultivation base. A first sky of a mortal realm warrior in his eyes couldn't support the little skeleton. Is that him? Nazario subsided his tide-like desire to Meiji. He got himself together quickly. What did you find in our precursor's vestiges? Our precursor had been here a long time ago. At that time, the parents of this illegitimate kid were refining him. Our precursor wanted to seize the chance to kill its parents and make them corpse slaves. Unexpectedly, even at the final phase of their process, they were still very powerful. They attacked our precursor and wounded him badly. He had to run away. Not long after he left this place, he knew that he couldn't survive the damages. He had used his last drops of energy to create his cave mansion vestige so someone from our clan could find it later. When Bastos talked about their precursor, he looked respectful as if he was slowly blowing the dust on a piece of their history. Inside the vestige, he told us about this secret. He even showed the location of this island. He said that the parents of this kid couldn't survive for a long time. He asked us to come and refine them into corpse slaves. It's to take revenge for him. He coldly looked at the little skeleton. 30 years ago, I followed the direction and came here. However, this bastard has already formed. I couldn't defeat it, so I had to run. I've spent 30 years recovering. That's why I came to you and asked you to join me on this affair. You can have one of its parents' bodies to refine your corpse slave. Pausing for a while, Bastos shouted, the bone body of the White Bone Clan Territory Ancestor Realm experts. They're the best for creating corpse slaves. Once we can refine them, the voice of our branch in the clan will be more powerful. The bone body of the Territory Ancestor Realm expert. Nazario's dark green eyes moved fast. He couldn't hide his greed. He looked at Meiji, who was under the python's attack, and then at the little skeleton. He grinned and nodded to the other. I want that phantom woman and one bone body. You can keep the other body and this little skeleton. Deal. Bastos agreed. They exchanged looks and laughed loudly as they felt so content. Shi Yin wore a calm face while sitting on the bone dragon, even though a high wave was rising in his heart. They were two devouring clan members. The devouring clan was the race that Devour, the absolute beginning creature, had used his blood and flesh to create. It was one of the 7 great clans in this vast cosmos, and also the most mysterious and evil. Devour used to impart the devouring power Upanishad and the 8 great evil powers for this clan. However, throughout the perpetual time of inheritance, the devouring power Upanishad was lost. Even the 8 great evil powers were scattered and incomplete. Even so, in the sea domain of nihility and the other territories in this immense universe, no one dared to look down on the devouring clan. It was still one of the strongest clans. Devour was the archenemy of Desolate. Their combat had carried out for billions of years, and it hadn't ended yet. Desolate had created Bloodthirsty. When it was about to impart the power Upanishad to Bloodthirsty, Devour attacked it. Devour had successfully given Bloodthirsty the devouring power Upanishad and the 8 great powers. It made Bloodthirsty turn around to destroy Desolate's incipient extent and inevitably kill Desolate too. In the end, Bloodthirsty had used the supernatural and peerless talents to understand the power and backfire Devour. After that battle, Devour was shut down ever since. Bloodthirsty had built up bloodthirsty force, and with his extraordinary power, he had defeated Devour with devouring power Upanishad and the 8 great evil powers. After Devour had left to fight against Desolate, the devouring clan had gradually lost its inheritance. Quite the contrary, in Desolate territory, Devour's inheritance, the bloodthirsty force, had the complete inheritances of the power. It was a joke that the creator played on Devour. Today, seeing the 2 members of the devouring clan, Shi Yin closed his eyes to sense for a while. He was shaken hard. The secret that had troubled him for a long time was solved when he saw the devouring clan members. After Bloodthirsty was gone, the blood vein ring was divided into 3 parts. Lao Luo, Xin Shan, and Xin He used them to create the inheritance on the ancient continents. Xin He failed. Lao Luo brought Shi Yin here. And Xin Shan appeared to have failed, but he actually brought a soul from another universe. That soul discreetly supported Harson. Harson also failed, and Shi Yin had killed him. That soul had swallowed the ring spirit and attempted to seize Shi Yin's body. And then, when Bloodthirsty's remains were gradually exposed, that soul had another evil thought. It enticed Shi Yin to gather Bloodthirsty's remains so it could use his remains to resurrect itself. Shi Yin didn't know where that soul had come from, and today, as he saw the members of the devouring clan, he realized the answer. Even though that soul had tried to hide it, its aura and vague appearance were very similar to the 2 members of the devouring clan in front of him. That soul came from the devouring clan in the sea domain of nihility. He understood the situation of the bloodthirsty force, and he knew the 8 great evil powers. That was why he could activate the mysterious formation on the island inside the dark abyss. Possibly, that soul was the backup plan that Devour, the absolute beginning creature, had preserved. Devour had used its power to bring a soul it had chosen from the race it had created. It wanted to make that soul the new master of bloodthirsty force, which was going to change the structure of Desolate territory and start a new round of battles with Desolate. Chapter 1405, Mysterious Corpse Worm. Chapter 1405, Mysterious Corpse Worm. Sizzle. Sizzle. The white python made of the corpse Chi tied Meiji as if it was an arm-sized rope. Meiji's body was hung in midair on the skull dragon. Countless corpse Chi wisps from the python were intruding her body while it kept hissing. The devouring clan had 8 branches, which cultivated the 8 great devil powers. Nazario and Bastos belonged to the corpse Chi branch. This division was similar to the 8 forces of the bloodthirsty force. The devouring clan members who cultivated corpse Chi had mastered refining corpse slaves. They had some intimidating corpse slaves that were even stronger than their masters. The devouring clan had many different styles in refining the corpse slaves. However, making the corpse Chi seep into the body until it brimmed and diffused was the fundamental method of refining corpses. Bastos's corpse Chi python was actually his strange tool to refine corpses. This secret treasure could make the corpse toxin intrude the victim's body slowly and transform the blood, flesh, and vitality of any creature. It would make the body filled with corpse Chi, which facilitated the next step to create a corpse slave. When the body was invaded, the corpse Chi winded around the soul and body of the victim. The victim then became stiff and lost consciousness. Feeling so many wisps of corpse toxins moving inside her body, Meiji slowly saw illusions, and her thinking got sluggish. Her eyes gradually lost light and became dulled and blank. Her white, glowing skin was now sickly pale. She knew that the python created by some strange tool was using the corpse toxin to erode her bit by bit. She gathered her spirit, which she was slowly losing, and bit the corners of her mouth. 2 trickles of blood oozed and rolled to her neck. They looked like terrifying, eye-catching worms. Bam! A wave of cool energy came out of her round breasts, her chest shaking. A snow-white lotus with blood veins on the petals grew on her chest, covering her entire charming body. Meiji's eyes regained light. She looked at the 2 members of the devouring clan in the distance and pointed at the python's head that was facing the lotus on her chest. An icy saber emerged. The snake's head exploded. The corpse chi flows became smaller wisps. However, it was just for a moment. The corpse chi then congregated and condensed, covering Meiji one more time. Not far from her, Bastos was watching with a teasing face. With your realm and cultivation base, I can't actually tie you down. Anyway, your wounds are really bad, and you have just 1/3 of your god power left. How can you resist my corpse toxin corrosion? Indeed, as soon as his voice vanished, the python Meiji had just beheaded reappeared and coiled Meiji and her snow lotus altogether. To create the snow lotus, Meiji had to pay with serious damage to her body. After this failure, she couldn't attack sufficiently again. Before she lost her ability to speak, her bright eyes gazed at the little skeleton and she cried weakly, I could only distract him for a while. It's what I can do. I hope you can kill these two. I hope that you could endure it. She understood clearly that with her current condition, she couldn't stand Bastos or Nazario. She could only lay her hope on the little skeleton. She hoped that it could be resilient. The only thing she could do now was to not yield to them. She would use her little amount of remaining energy to trouble Bastos and make him distracted by attacking him. She didn't even look at Yin. At this moment, her life was her top priority. The idea of refining Yin to help her reach the territory ancestor realm was now out of reach. Moreover, she didn't have enough energy to waste on a useless junior. In this battle, Yin was predestined as a minor, unimportant character. She thought so too. The little skeleton had the same thought. It turned to Yin, its crystal arms swinging at the bone dragons and asking them to take Yin further from this area to avoid the devouring clan expert's ambush. Swoosh! The bone dragon immediately flew away and carried Yin further away from this battle. The bone dragon dropped Yin and then soared up into the sky. It flew around the little skeleton. Rattle! Rattle! Strange noises suddenly arose from Bastos's sleeves of the green robes. So many shiny white worms flooded out of his sleeves. Those worms had many legs like centipedes. However, each of their legs was as sharp as a sword. Although the worms were just as big as a thumb, there were hundreds of thousands of them. After they had flown out of his sleeves, they crept rapidly toward the little skeleton. Yin squinted to watch. His face changed. The mysterious corpse worms. As the new master of Bloodthirsty, although he didn't know all of the 8 great, evil powers, he did know the secrets of these powers. The mysterious corpse worms were a kind of strange insect that a force cultivating corpse chi like Frederick bred. They had to nibble the corpses of the experts for at least 100 years to be able to transform to mysterious corpse worms. This kind of corpse worm was cold with saber-like legs that could tear an expert's body easily. They would enter the bodies to nibble from the inside. Starting from the stomach and the internal organs, they would eat an expert from the inside. No saber or sword could cut the mysterious corpse worm. Water and fire were also useless. Those worms had strange energy waves that could affect the sea of consciousness. The corpse worms from Bastos' sleeves cried sharply. While they were marching toward the little skeleton, Yin also felt his soul fall in pain. It felt like he got stabbed with pointy spikes. He knew that those mysterious corpse worms were really tough. It was really hard to refine one worm. They had to eat at least hundreds of corpses, and the expert had to refine them for hundreds of years. Each mysterious corpse worm was just as big as a thumb, but Yin knew that they ate a lot. A worm could finish an entire warrior in 2 hours. Facing a wave of so many mysterious corpse worms, let alone ordinary creatures, even a giant beast of heavenly monster tribe couldn't endure them for long. The worms could even finish their bones. However, while facing the members of the White Bone clan, the mysterious corpse worms couldn't do much. The corpse toxins and flesh-eating worms were not effective against the little skeleton. The little skeleton stood in front of the bone dragons and watched the worms swarm. It didn't want to dodge at all. The toxin from the mysterious corpse worms and the worms couldn't affect it at all. The skeleton lifted his head to look at Bastos, as if he was wondering why Bastos had done such useless attacks, which made him bewildered. Haha, Bastos sneered. The palms of his hands suddenly glowed. The fingerprint light flew out from his hands and created something like magical curtains above the corpse worms. The two formations seemed to have an evil power that stimulated the mysterious corpse worms and made them insanely brutal. The worms hissed and risked their lives, swarming forward. The corpse worms covered the little skeleton instantly. The insect's crying and shrieking was so sharp that it could tear people's eardrums. Shi Yan's face was cold as he had to use the space power Upanishad to confine his area to protect himself from the harmful sound waves. When the terrifying shrieking arose, blood ran out of Meiji's eyes, nostrils, and ears. Her charming face became paler. My corpse worms can only disturb its soul. They can't eat this skeleton. This bastard's bones are really tough. My corpse worms can't chew it. I need your power to kill it. After the little skeleton was covered in the pile of worms, Bastos took a deep breath and then turned to Nazario. Of course, I'm here to give you a hand. Nazario nodded. He coughed and then strolled toward the little skeleton. Swoosh, swoosh. The two bone dragons were enraged. They stormed over, biting and tearing to protect the little skeleton. Nazario looked calm as he touched his glabella. His incipient extent emerged from the crown of his head. Piles of bones like mountains appeared in an immense world. The vast, seething sea in the middle of that world contained something viscous like liquid that oozed out from the corpses. Thousands of dismembered bodies from different clans floated and bobbed together with cut limbs, eyeballs, fingers, or even skulls in that sea. An eccentric fist-sized eyeball floated and drifted from the sea of corpses. From the corpse sea, countless beams of corpse chi condensed and turned into wisps of white air that poured into that eyeball. Nazario grabbed it and brought it out of his incipient extent. Corpses crack. Holding the strange eyeball facing the two dragons, Nazario shouted in the ancient language of the devouring clan. Crack, crack, crack. The two bone dragons suddenly had so many thick, fine cracks as if they were gashed by invisible blades. Boom! One of the bone dragons exploded, its bones shattering. Nazario frowned and avoided the pieces of bones from that bone dragon. He walked toward the small skeleton. The mysterious corpse worms in his way seemed to sense his intimidating aura. They scattered and gave him a narrow path that led to the little skeleton. Bastos hovered in the air and focused on using his power Upanishad. The two fingerprints like massive hands slowly snatched down from the sky and made the mysterious corpse worms hiss and shriek harder. The soul-piercing shrieks from the worms had pressured the little skeleton, which created a chance for Bastos to crack the skeleton. Shi Yan watched silently. He didn't take rash actions. He observed the moves of the two members of the devouring clan and their power Upanishads. When the others were about to kill the little skeleton, Shi Yan changed his thoughts and a strange energy fluctuated that spreaded from him. He suddenly vanished like a wisp of smoke. When he reappeared, he was behind Meiji's sexy body. Meiji faced Bastos and Nazario. These two had concentrated on killing the little skeleton, and they didn't even bat an eye at him. They didn't notice that when he disappeared and reappeared, Meiji was standing and shielding in front of him. Also, the other two didn't even care about Meiji, so they didn't see Shi Yan hiding behind her. Bastos and Nazario didn't look at him, but Meiji shivered as she could sense his commotion. She was anxious, her eyes desperate and bitter. It was karma when this rascal could have a chance to ambush her. It was good then. At least, it was better than falling into the two old men's hands. Meiji sighed inwardly. Chapter 1406, Detoxify. Chapter 1406, Detoxify. Meiji sighed. It was the first time she regretted that she had provoked Shi Yan. She knew all of her troubles were caused by her greed. If she hadn't provoked Shi Yan, she wouldn't have offended Forefather Dragon Lizard and Tu Shi from the mysterious Sky Clan. She wouldn't have needed to join hands with Sing to end up getting wounded seriously when Shi Yan's world within world exploded. It wouldn't have ignited her wrath and tempted her to chase after him until she was exhausted. And now, they were on this White Bone Clan Skull Island. She reaped what she sowed. Shi Yan had pushed her to a tragic death. Meiji was so regretful that she wanted to die. Shortly after, a pair of rough, big hands were placed on her exposed back. The hands were warm, and they didn't send any fatal energy to attack her when they were placed on her beautiful back. Meiji was touched. She woke up immediately and bit her lips. She pressed her voice to the lowest, audible level. "Little thief, your lust is too big. You're about to die, but you still have the mood to harass me?" She thought that Shi Yan wanted to seize the chance to sexually harass her. "Harass you?" Shi Yan's voice was cold and stiff behind her. "I don't have free time to do that. I'll only ask you one question. If I save you this time, what should you do about the grudge between us?" "Save me?" Meiji thought that she had heard a good joke before she died. "With only you? Do you think you've reached the territory ancestor realm and have the strength to help me detoxify the corpse toxin in my body and get rid of this python? You're too confident." Meiji thought that unless he had reached the territory ancestor realm, it was just a dream to save her from this situation. The evil power Upanishads of the devouring clan was always peculiar. The corpse chi was even worse. It was almost impossible to heal a victim of the corpse toxin in a short time. Shi Yan was just a small warrior at first sky of a mortal realm. Also, she had witnessed his recent breakthrough. What did he have to save her from the corpse toxin? It was the biggest joke ever. "We don't have much time. I'm asking you again. If I can save her, what will you do? Think and answer. If I'm not satisfied with your answer, you'll lose your only hope." Shi Yan sounded ruthless and cold. However, his words echoed strongly. Meiji didn't know whether she should cry or smile. She just thought that the kid behind her didn't know how high the sky was. "If you help me break this blockage, I'm willing to humble and harass myself by serving you dedicatedly. The women of our clan are the best dreams of all men. I'm sure I can give you endless delight." "I'm never interested in the sort of woman who would take any man as their husband," Shi Yan sneered. "Anyway, your attitude pleases me. Who said I'll take anyone to be my husband?" Meiji's alluring face seemed frosty. She was so angry that she shivered and spoke coldly. "Although we were born with the gift of the soul enchanting technique, we keep ourselves clean. If I can move, I will cut your tongue first." "Well, you can still make wind of this situation. We can't talk to women indeed," Shi Yan sneered again. Censored part. In the next moment, Meiji was tense when rough hands slid from her back to her sensitive waist, and they continued sliding further downward. "You, what are you doing?" she hissed through her gritted teeth. "What are you afraid of?" Shi Yan's mocking voice arose behind her. "You've been King chasing me for a long time. I know you're hungry for me. And now, you said that you're a virgin. I need to check to see whether it's true. If it's true, I will give you face by satisfying this hungry, resentful woman." "You dare." Meiji's bright eyes became anxious and restless. She cultivated ice power Upanishad. The soul enchanting technique was just a special innate ability that the Phantom clan women had. From her power Upanishad, one could tell that she wasn't a loose person. To the Phantom clan women, the enchanting technique was just a trick, and it was a deadly trick, anyway. They didn't use it to win someone's heart. If they wanted to win someone's heart, they would only do that to the loyal and dedicated male guests or their life partners the clan had matched for them. The Phantom clan women with high realms would never sacrifice their bodies. Their clan didn't have male members. They were the trump cards in their clan. They had to be the beautiful source of troubles to make this vast sea of stars chaotic. However, they all kept their purity. Meiji was this sort of woman. Shi Yan's big hands wandered on her back and butt cheeks. Under the soft, silky dress, they were moving toward the joint between her thighs. She was extremely frightened, and her flame of wrath rised torrentially. She couldn't turn her head around to see Shi Yan. At this moment, his face looked ultimately grave. He didn't even have any vulgar intention as sweat beaded on his forehead. His hand slowly reached and placed on Meiji's most mysterious area. When Meiji was shivering in anger and was about to use her last beam of energy to resist, a small black hole appeared on Shi Yan's hand. That black hole revolved rapidly, and a strong but strange suction force began to work. Meiji's fragrant grass became warm, and the suction force was like a rapid electric current that shot through her entire body. The corpse toxin in her body was attracted, and it moved downward. She suddenly had an urge to urinate, and she couldn't hold it. Immediately, her stream of urine was discharged. The corpse toxin in her body was rolled into the urine and discharged from her body in such a humiliating way that she couldn't stand it. They flowed out of her mysterious, sensitive place and poured on Shi Yan's hand. Her water ran through the gaps between Shi Yan's fingers while the black hole in his palm swallowed all the corpse toxin. The python coiling Meiji's sexy body became like a withered flower. It dried strangely. It seemed like the python's nutrient and life energy was drawn. From the size of an arm, it shrunk until it was as big as a finger. Even then, it continued shriveling. Meiji's numb body started to get better as she was discharging urine uncontrollably. Seeing the python get smaller, Meiji felt both humiliated and surprised. She didn't know how and why Shi Yan had drawn the toxin out of her body. Also, he had applied such a deviant way to take them out of her body. Even if she squeezed her brain, she could never think that Shi Yan was using the devouring power Upanishad, the lost power Upanishad of the devouring clan, on his hand, which was placed on her sensitive part of the body. The devouring clan had the devouring power Upanishad that topped the others. It had subdued all the other 8 great, evil power Upanishads. The devouring power Upanishad could swallow all the energy generated by the other 8 power Upanishads. It could devour corpse toxin, erosive toxins, death energy, and even dark energy. It was also the reason why after Shi Yan swallowed energy, he could send extra energy to warriors cultivating one of the 8 power Upanishads through the mark on their foreheads. Sizzle, sizzle. The python suddenly disappeared. A rope made of white hair on corpses fell on the ground. Without energy, this secret treasure had fallen off Meiji's body. Meiji regained her mobility. Her soft body was quivering. Her silky dress was soaked wet, and her lower body felt damp and sticky. She stooped and found a hand placed on the joint of her thighs. Humiliation and unspoken indignity appeared on her face. She loathed that she couldn't kill herself at this spot. She felt sorry for her reputation. She had been receiving nice names and glories, arrogantly enjoying so many top-qualified privileges. However, all burned down because of this humiliating moment. She had urinary incontinence. This attack wasn't less than a big damage to her body. Her heart was filled with resentment and sour, bitter feelings. However, she had no way to vent it. It seems like you've recovered. Before her volcano had erupted, Shi Yan had retracted his hands and stepped away from her. When she turned around to see, she found Shi Yan shaking his left hand off the water on it. A streak of glittering fluid seemed to ridicule her ugly, embarrassing performance. It drove her crazy. Shi Yan shook off the urine on his hand, right in front of Meiji. He rubbed his hand with the cloth on his side. Right after that, he wore a calm face as if nothing had happened. He said indifferently, "If the 2 monsters of the devouring clan aren't dead, we're all doomed. Although your god power isn't abundant now, you're at the peak of a mortal realm. Yeah, you don't need me to teach you how and what to do, right?" Meiji got it immediately. Shi Yan unchained her to make her risk her life with the 2 old experts of the devouring clan. He wanted to use her last drop of power to exchange for his life. Meiji was so resentful that she even felt her teeth itch. At this moment, she pushed aside the attempt to figure out how Shi Yan had sucked all the corpse toxin out of her body. What was left in her was only her indignation. "I have only a part of my god power left. Do you want me to explode my soul altar to help you get rid of this?" Shi Yan shrugged. "You won't let me go there to die? Even if I go there, I have no way to overturn the situation. You can do it, more or less." He did want Meiji to die together with the 2 devouring clan experts. He had observed and he knew Meiji had a deep grudge against the others because they wanted to turn her into a corpse slave. He had recognized when she even wanted to kill herself in her despair. "You want to die anyway. If you can drag one devouring clan monster with you to cushion your back, will it not be very convenient?" To the woman who wanted to kill him and refine his soul to help her reach the territory ancestor realm, Yin didn't have a bit of compassion. All that he had done was just to turn this situation around. Boom, boom. At this moment, another bone dragon shattered. Of the two old monsters of the devouring clan, one was using a massive fingerprint to increase the soul pressure, and the other was holding a white eyeball to gather the energy to strike the little skeleton. All of a sudden, Bastos shivered. He turned around to look at the other side. He had finally found something wrong. Yin pointed at the rope made of white hair by Meiji's foot. When that thing receives the corpse chi, it will become that powerful, intimidating python. Damn, why didn't you tell me earlier? Meiji changed her visage. She gathered her god power. Sharp icicles appeared and stabbed the white rope. The rope cracked and made sounds that indicated it cracked, but it didn't disconnect or break. However, Bastos was shaken hard and his face was pale. It's his life treasure, Yin shouted. He didn't need to think, and he slashed his bloody sword. A 100-meter bloodlight grumblingly hacked on the white rope. This rope was made of white hair of the members from 100 races. From one full force attack of the bloody sword, it was halved. Turi. Bastos couldn't help but spurt blood. His spirit, chi, and soul became fatigued immediately. He shouted as if his madness had finally burst out. Roaring and crying, he crazily dashed toward the others. Temporarily, he left the little skeleton behind. Chapter 1407, Join Hands. Chapter 1407, Join Hands. Unearth the life treasures of the warriors connected to the host soul, sea of consciousness, and even to the god power ancient tree. Typically, a warrior refined only one life treasure, which they tried to maximize. The life treasure could perform a lot of magical functions. As the warrior and his life treasure was connected through the soul, the power sent to the treasure wouldn't be disrupted, and he could even send his soul consciousness together with the energy. However, when the life treasure was damaged badly, the owner received the same damage. In some worse cases, when the life treasure shattered, the owner's body exploded altogether. In the worst case, the owner's soul was torn to pieces. Bastos's white rope was made of the white hair of corpses from 100 different races. He had refined it with many rare and precious materials for several hundred years. That white rope was called corpse reins, and it was the fundamental tool he had to refine the corpse. This corpse reins helped him refine and tame many corpses. This white rope was a terrifying whip to his corpse slaves. Outside the Skull Island, layers of mist hovered. That white mist could defend the corpse slaves. The parents of the little skeleton had created the mist to protect the area. Thus, Bastos and Nazario couldn't bring the corpse slaves with them this time. Otherwise, with 2 more corpse slaves, they would have finished this battle perfectly. One of the magical functions of this corpse reins was that it could absorb vitality to turn a vigorous warrior into a stiff corpse. It facilitated the corpse refining process a lot. The python created by the corpse reins had coiled Meiji for a while. If it had held her for longer, she would have lost her consciousness. She would have become a corpse without the ability to reason. After that, Bastos could have activated her brain to make her his standard corpse slave. He didn't think and just dashed forward at his max speed. A white light tore the sky. Bastos waved his hands on the way, and the feeling of connected flesh came to him. 2 pieces of the corpse reins suddenly shivered and moved like a snake. Slowly, they reconnected and they looked almost intact. Yin was still far away, so he couldn't stop him. He could only shout at Meiji, "Try your best to stop him." Meiji cursed Yin's ancestors and gritted her teeth to urge the little bit of energy she had. A broad ice sword slowly emerged from her palm. The body of the sword reflected her beautiful body. It looked like she was carving her soul seal onto it. The ice sword was formed. Meiji's face became even paler. Her jade-like arm rose and slashed on the corpse reins' old cut. Sizzle. The corpse reins was cut off again, and it sent ice pieces everywhere. Wisps of ivory corpse chi emitted from the cut mouth. Bastos was on his way. He halted as if he had just barged into a mountain. He turned dark and sinister, roaring crazily. "That low woman. I'm sure I will make you wish that you were dead. I will definitely show you what happens if you offend me." Meiji was so cold. She knew that even if she had to detonate her soul altar, she would never let herself fall into Bastos' hands. Otherwise, she would have to endure an extreme torment which would make her want to die. She turned her head and her dark eyes gazed at Shi Yin. Are you satisfied now? Is it what you want? Shi Yin frowned and didn't say anything. He moved away and stayed far away from her and Bastos. Meiji looked at him in the eyes twice. In the end, she begrudgingly turned around. Another snow lotus bloomed on her ample breast with bleeding petals. It was beautiful and alluring like her exquisite glamour. The bleeding snow lotus had drained Meiji's life energy. At this rate of losing vitality, she must have used some kind of mysterious technique. As Shi Yin guessed, she was about to risk her life with Bastos even if she had to pay with her own life. A wave of strange soul energy came from her brain. Her icy eyes were now filled with resolution. Bastos was coming with rage. He halted a few hundred steps away from Meiji as he was shaken hard. Bastos didn't dare to move even a step further. He didn't even dare to look at the treasure that was connected with his life. He didn't dare to take it back. It was because of the strange energy fluctuation from Meiji. It was like a volcano that could erupt at any minute. Once it was activated, it would release the last light and drag everybody close to the abyss to hell. As they were all at the peak of a mortal realm, Bastos understood clearly that Meiji had only a bit of her god power left. However, when she decided to destroy her life, the energy from her death was going to be enough to shatter him altogether. In a specific range, he couldn't stand or avoid this. If you want to die, just do it. I don't have free time to waste on you. Bastos hovered in front of her, his face dark. All of a sudden, his brows twitched. He swayed and changed his direction, dashing towards Shi Yin. When he had just turned around, he saw Shi Yin slashing a bloodlight. He knew it was the thing that cut off his corpse reins. Thus, Shi Yin was his enemy too. Meiji had prepared to shatter the jade together with the stones. Seeing Bastos change his target in fear, her eyes brightened with cold light when her evil plan worked. She sneered and looked at Shi Yin from a distance, feeling really good. Hey old dog, if you want to kill me, you still need to work hard. If you don't believe me, come and try. Shi Yin was like an illusion shifting through this skull island. His figure flashed and then disappeared. Then, he reappeared 10,000 miles away. Using the space power Upanishad, he was like a shadow that no one could capture. He didn't linger at any spot. The short rest on the skull island had allowed him to regenerate his energy a little bit. He wasn't a lamp without oil. If he wanted to run, he had enough energy to endure for a while. When Meiji wanted to kill him, she had struggled a lot. And now, it worked on Bastos too. Bastos was moving crazily, but he couldn't lock Shi Yin down. Especially when Shi Yin used dark energy, he could turn invisible. Bastos became hot-tempered and restless. Meiji was watching everything with a nonchalant face. She felt delighted when Bastos was roaring like a tiger but couldn't capture Shi Yin. She had experienced this situation before, so she understood Bastos feeling well. Also, Bastos cultivated only the corpse chi. He didn't know how to use the soul power to find an expert with dark energy who was hiding. Thus, it was more difficult to deal with Shi Yin. What made Meiji more surprised was that the thick corpse chi that Bastos had released massively didn't work on Shi Yin. Shi Yin was still moving agilely. He wasn't affected even a bit from Bastos' attack. Meiji subsided her delight of taking revenge. Her beautiful eyes became stern. She had a feeling that Shi Yin cultivated some technique that could suppress Bastos. She had this feeling since Shi Yin used a humiliating method that she would never forget to suck the corpse toxin from her body out. When she finally had time to focus her mind, this feeling became clearer. Something could subdue the power Upanishads of the devouring clan? Meiji couldn't react. She searched through her head, thinking about strange and rare power Upanishads, but she couldn't find anything that matched. It made her bewildered, indeed. She didn't relate it to the devouring power Upanishad because of 3 reasons. First, it was the top, supreme power Upanishad of the devouring clan. Second of all, this power was lost, even in the devouring clan. Third, Shi Yin wasn't a member of the devouring clan. She just thought that Yin was mysterious, and he seemed to have many secrets she couldn't understand. While she was observing, the corpse reins by her disappeared unknowingly. It seemed like Bastos had retrieved it. She didn't mind as she was busy taking in the pellets that the Phantom clan had refined to regenerate her energy, even if it wasn't that significant. She turned to look at the battle between the little skeleton and Nazario. The mysterious corpse worms still covered the skeleton. However, they weren't as strong as when Bastos had used his power to support them. Their shrieking wasn't enough to trouble the skeleton's soul now. It troubled Nazario to apply his power Upanishad on the little skeleton. At this moment, the little skeleton's eyes twinkled radiantly. A flaming light and an icy light shot out, which annoyed Nazario a lot. Nazario became a little helter-skelter. The eyeball in his eyes looked tired as if it had consumed a lot of energy. Bastos, what the heck are you doing? Don't chase that kid. Kill this bastard first. Nazario panted and couldn't help but yell. Bastos got himself together while persistently chasing after Yin. He knew that he didn't have a lot of time left. It would be better to join hands with the other to kill the skeleton instead of wasting time on pursuing Yin. After that, they would have plenty of time to defeat Yin and Meiji. Yin was moving strangely. Bastos couldn't catch him. Meiji was ready to explode herself altogether. Bastos didn't have any solution to deal with her quickly. Reluctantly, he had to fly back to Nazario. Swoosh! A light shadow slid across. Yin reappeared not far from Meiji. He looked at Meiji. Once that little skeleton is killed, you have only one way to go, which is to die altogether. If you help it kill or shoo away the two monsters, we will all survive. If you want, you should go help it. I have only a bit of god power left. If I go there and join the battle, it will be no different than me killing myself. Meiji pulled a cold visage. You little cunning rascal, you're full of bad thoughts. You wanted me to hold one of the old monsters of the Devouring clan. Good calculation. But why I should carry out your plan? I'm only at first sky of a mortal realm. Once I show up, I'll be killed faster. Yin opened his arms and said begrudgingly, I know you're not weak. Meiji's eyes drilled into Yin. You shouldn't think about sacrificing me anymore. I will definitely not act as you wish. Yin kept silent. He knew his minor calculation couldn't be implemented. Pondering, he suggested, you and I join hands to deal with Bastos. Believe me, we have the power to fight him. I'm sure when he faces you, his power will be reduced massively. Finally, you want to contribute your strength now? Meiji snorted. Yin frowned, staying silent. Okay, I'll join you to battle against him. Nothing's worse than death. Anyway, I'll accept all the prices. I want to make it clear that if you dare to hide and not risk your life, once I figure it out, I will drag you and Bastos to hell together. Meiji gritted her teeth, talking resentfully. Yin nodded his head with a forced smile. Chapter 1408, Counterattack. Chapter 1408, Counterattack. Undershirt crack, crack, crack. The wave of mysterious corpse worms had submerged the White Bone clan child. His white, crystal bones were nibbled continuously. However, although the mysterious corpse worms were trying hard, they couldn't leave any scratch on that little skeleton. The bone body had been refined through hundreds of thousands of quenching times. His parents had put their effort into it. Its hardness was so abnormal that even the mysterious corpse worms couldn't break it. If its soul is dissolved, it can't supply energy to maintain the body's defense. We can break it then. Nazario's fingers tightened around the white eyeball. As he swung his hand, his eyes shot an evil white light, which felt so heavy when it shone on the little skeleton. It was like an entire mountain was placed on it. Bastos came back. He hovered in midair. At this moment, he didn't care about Yin or Meiji. The massive fingerprints from his palm flew out once again. The mysterious corpse worms became extremely frenzied. The mournful screeching echoed around the Skull Island. Anyone who heard it would feel their souls shake as if they got stabbed. The small bone body of the little skeleton shivered. The power of the flaming light and the icy light from his eyes weakened. His eyes showed his agony. At this moment, Shi Yin and Meiji had landed a deal. Shi Yin disappeared again. He had urged dark energy and stood invisibly by Meiji. Bastos and Nazario focused only on the little skeleton. They didn't notice Shi Yin's moves or Meiji's commotions. When Nazario wanted to pour more energy to tear the bone body of the skeleton, the surrounding temperature suddenly reduced massively. He looked up skeptically. So many shining snowflakes were falling. Shortly after, a snowstorm struck the Skull Island and made it a snow-white, cold land. The cold, icy energy slapped on him and Bastos. As soon as the snowflakes fell, they melted and seeped into the two's bodies. Then, the two experts became stiff and chilled from the inside. Despicable slut. You really want to die, right? Bastos was outrageous. He saw Meiji around 1,000 steps away from him releasing icy cold energy. Countless sparkling snow lotuses were releasing cold energy and changing the weather of this entire area. Each of the snowflakes contained Meiji's cold energy. When the flakes fell and seeped into the body, they could freeze the body indiscernibly. So annoying. Nazario was irritated. How did you confine her? How can she get rid of it? How could I know that? Bastos wasn't in a good mood. He said with a dark face, that slut can self-detonate at any minute. I don't want to be dragged with her to death. I gave her a chance. I didn't think she doesn't treasure her life like that. She dares to come to disturb us. You'd better defeat her now, yelled Nazario. Bastos kept a cold face and pondered. He then said reluctantly, never mind. I'll sacrifice a little here. Okay, I will kill her and make her body my corpse slave. It's acceptable. Then, Bastos moved, his eyes darkly sinister. His incipient extent emerged from his forehead. It was a mountain made of so many corpses. It slowly descended above Meiji's head from the sky. This mountain was Bastos' power, and it could kill Meiji. However, if Meiji wanted to play hard and pay by exploding her soul, she could break this corpse mountain. It was also a terrible loss to Bastos. That's why he didn't use it earlier. The corpse mountain was hundreds of meters high and created by pale corpses. It was scary enough to frighten anybody. Seeing the corpse mountain pressing down, Meiji's charming face was sour. She hissed through her gritted teeth. I hope your trick works. Don't harm me. Don't worry. I'm sure we can join hands to deal with Bastos. A voice came from nowhere, but it was full of confidence. Meiji lifted her head to watch the corpse mountain slowly falling. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. A long, narrow space slit emerged in the void above Meiji's head. Divine lights emerged from the space slit that led to an unknown world. Shi Yin didn't even know where it led to. When he had first landed on this Skull Island, the space here was controlled by some invisible force. He couldn't find the space nodes to run away. It was like he was lost. It was also the reason why Meiji could find him, but he couldn't teleport away from this Skull Island. However, this time, when he urged his power Upanishad, it worked smoothly. The space nodes that had disappeared now resumed. If Shi Yin wanted to leave now, he could do it deliberately. In the dark, Shi Yin couldn't help but turn to the little skeleton. He saw his eyes sparkling once. He suddenly understood it. When he had fought with Meiji, that small skeleton must have done something to prevent him from running away using his space power Upanishad. The little skeleton wanted to keep him here to save his parents. This Skull Island should have some key to control energy barriers that were interlinked to the little skeleton. As he was in a dangerous situation, he didn't want to pull Shi Yin into this pit, so it had lifted up some spatial barriers. Shi Yin could finally use his space power Upanishad. Meiji's eyes brightened. The corpse mountain was still lowering. If it didn't change the direction, it would directly enter the space slit and disappear soon. Bastos was scared out of his wits. He wore an extremely grimaced face as he hurried to urge his power and create a corpse chi rope to tie the corpse mountain and pull it toward him. If it fell into the space slit, his soul would be damaged severely. Meiji laughed when she saw Bastos in a helter-skelter situation. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The icicles and ice sabers were revolving in the sky like a tornado of ice pieces. It floated up into the air from Meiji's head. When the energy congregated, a snowstorm with ice grumblingly rolled toward Bastos and Nazario. The two old monsters of the devouring clan wanted to focus on the skeleton first. Seeing the ice tornado go toward them, they were so angry that they could even vomit blood. Bastos was trying his best to stop the corpse mountain. He didn't have extra efforts to counter. Nazario had to deal with the storm and tornado himself. Nazario's corpse chi condensed and created a giant white-furred ape. The ape pounded its chest continuously, roaring and howling. It jumped into the ice tornado instantly to wreck it and tried to destroy the tornado before it could reach Bastos and Nazario. Nazario steadied his mind and prepared to strike again. Right at that moment, a blazing sun dashed over and stormed into the ice tornado. The white ape burned, smoking and screeching. Nazario was shaken hard. Although the white ape wasn't his life treasure, it was created by his energy and power Upanishad. When the ape burned, it was also a heavy strike to his soul. He was wounded shortly after. Not only that, the little skeleton had seized the chance when Nazario and Bastos were distracted to get rid of the mysterious in-corpse worms. So many stars twinkled on his body, which functioned like his acupuncture points. The starlight then shot up into the sky. Stars began to twinkle inside the mist layers above the Skull Island. It seemed like some formation had activated. The two bone dragons, which were mashed, had their bones connect again miraculously. They flew up one more time. In different corners of the Skull Island where many skeletons quietly piled, they slowly got up. These were hundreds of meters tall. They had only bones without eyes. However, they moved quickly and went to the battlefield. Shi Yin was hiding in a secret place. He saw so many massive skeletons carry the bone sabers and jump on the Skull Island grumblingly. Shortly, a skeleton, which seemed like it was the leader, stomped on dozens of mysterious in-corpse worms and smashed them. The corpse liquid splashed from the worms. That huge skeleton brought a white saber, storming toward Nazario and slashing him. Swish! The saber light flashed as if it could tear the sky. So many light dots sparked from the white bone and flooded Nazario. More and more giant skeletons gathered. A part of them stayed by the little skeletons, and others advanced toward Bastos. Meiji was stunned. She relaxed while watching the giant skeletons try to powerfully and intimidatingly make Nazario and Bastos helter-skelter. She looked at the little skeleton in astonishment. She knew that this Skull Island wasn't ordinary. Perhaps the entire Skull Island was a divine weapon that his parents had spent a lot of efforts to create for him to deal with the enemies. As he was temporarily held, he couldn't activate the power of the island. Thus, he was bullied. With Shi Yin and Meiji's help, the skeleton had gotten rid of it and activated the mysterious defense of the Skull Island. He had created many skeletons, which had changed the situation quickly. Those skeletons swung the bone sabers, attacking and chasing Bastos and Nazario. They knew that the situation wasn't going well for them. They wanted to leave this place. However, when they flew up, they found that the gravity had increased almost 1,000 times. They were pulled back to the ground. They didn't cultivate space power Upanishad, so they couldn't use space energy to teleport like Shi Yin. Begrudgingly, they had to stay and fight against the huge skeletons on the Skull Island. Every time they tried their best to destroy a big skeleton, the little skeleton would do something that shook the entire Skull Island. Then, the smashed skeleton would resume its frame and continue to attack Nazario and Bastos furiously like a dragon again. Those huge things were immortal. There was no way to kill them. Nazario and the other were desperate when they figured this out. Shi Yin was hiding. He suddenly reappeared by Meiji, his face stunned. The little skeleton was riding a bone dragon and circling above the massive skeletons. He was swinging his arms and speaking the archaic language of the White Bone clan to command the skeletons his warriors. Shi Yin watched them and was astounded. He was really surprised because of the little skeleton and this Skull Island. How could you absorb all the corpse toxins? All of a sudden, Meiji's eyes drilled into him. As far as I know, there aren't many power Upanishads that could absorb the corpse toxin. Also, I couldn't reason as to why you had to use that method to detoxify me. Meiji's voice pitched up, her face cold and malicious. Shi Yin turned to look at her and said deliberately, I only know that method to suck the toxin out. Only he knew the real reason. He used that method to detoxify her to take revenge. He wanted to humiliate her in a way she would never forget. If he wanted, he could have used a more proper method, which wouldn't irritate Meiji that much. However, he did it this way because Meiji was cruel and she had chased for a long time. She was greedy and terrible. She wanted to use him to reach the territory ancestor realm. She had enraged him. If she wasn't useful, he wouldn't have hesitated to find a chance and kill her to eliminate the danger afterward. Chapter 1409. Bully the Beauty. Chapter 1409. Bully the Beauty. Understood. Meiji's eyes were like cold sabers that cut and slashed Shi Yin. She hated the fact that she couldn't stab and cut him to death. Then, the little skeleton sitting on the bone dragons was shouting and commanding his massive skeletons to attack Nazario and Bastos. Strange noises of some commotions came from inside the Skull Island. Shi Yin had recognized that this entire Skull Island was a divine weapon, and a formidable one, though. The Skull Island could seal the space to trap him, and it could increase the gravity to thousands of times, which kept Nazario and Bastos from running away. At the same time, the little skeleton could even create huge skeletons and control them. This strange treasure was really unimaginable and marvelous. Bastos apparently didn't know that much. 30 years ago, the little skeleton had shown mercy by only wounding him. This time, Bastos invited one expert to help him. However, from the current situation, the result was going to be even worse than the previous time. Shi Yin was happy and related. As soon as he could calm down, he had some interesting idea. Glancing at Meiji, his eyes then scanned her hot, inviting body. Bastos wasn't wrong. The phantom women were gifts from heaven. Meiji's long silk dress had many holes, which exposed her snow-like skin. Her white skin even glowed. Her breasts were so huge that they looked like they wanted to tear her dress to find freedom. Her slim waist emphasized her round, ample rear. Her cheeks were flawless under her twinkling eyes. This mature charming could arouse any man. Shi Yin appraised her beauty sincerely. The glamour of this mature, charming woman had boiled any man's blood. Hey, you said that if I helped you get rid of the corpse toxin, you would sacrifice yourself and serve me. I remember it. After we're done with this, we should find some time to finish this, he laughed explicitly. Meiji's body went stiff, her face cold. You dare say that? Shi Yin was surprised. Why can't I say it? Are you phantom women all liars? You don't keep your word? I just said that. Moreover, you humiliated me with your treating method. You should be happy I didn't say I would kill you. You still dare to talk about these conditions with me? Meiji was so angry that she wanted to vomit blood. I only know that you said if I could detoxify you, we wouldn't count the grudge between us and you would serve me for a while. Shi Yan's voice was resolute. He snorted, Don't think that you can deny it. At your conditions, do you think I will rape you if you don't do what you've promised? Rape? Rape me? In the next second, she screamed like a lunatic, her body shaking. Try it. If you aren't afraid of death, just try it. I don't think I can't handle you. Okay, I will try. Shi Yin sneered inwardly. A thought popped up in his mind and triggered some secret arrangement. As soon as Meiji was ready to take action, she suddenly felt her private area get hot. It was like having a flame burning her lower body. She was scared out of her wits. With a pale face, she shivered. She pointed her jade-like finger at him. What did you do to my body? How could you be so despicable like that? Her lower body was so hot. The heat of the flame was controlled skillfully. However, if it increased, her lower body would burn. Thinking about a worse, insulted situation that could happen, she was panic-stricken. She could never think about someone so cruel and his terrible ambush to women like him even in her dreams. She suddenly recognized that Shi Yin was evil, cruel, and not less than the two monsters from the Devouring clan. She was petrified and didn't dare to move. Her face wore a desperate expression, as if she would rather die to end all of these. I had never provoked you on Dragon Lizard Continent. You were greedy. You wanted to refine my soul to help you reach the Territory Ancestor realm. I was running away. You didn't stop chasing me. To break through to Territory Ancestor realm, you've done a lot. I'm lucky that I have a tough life. If I hadn't been persistent and made a mistake on the way, what would have happened to me? My soul would have vanished, and you would have destroyed it already. You and I don't have any resentment or grudge, but you could treat me like that. How couldn't I treat you the same way? Shi Yin looked at her. He ridiculed with a cold face. Anyway, God doesn't favor you. I've undergone the culpa, but I'm still alive. And you're so weak now. Well, you gave me a chance. If I can't take it, I will not be able to get over my own challenge. Meiji stooped listening to his cold and harsh words. She felt so down. I'm in your hands now. Do what you want. She was subdued. A kid at first sky of a mortal realm had ambushed her and humiliated her. And now, her lower body was burning. Her pride, confidence, and arrogance were torn apart. Her heart was gradually numb. Shi Yin arched his brows and slowly walked toward Meiji. He rose one hand and used his index finger to stroke her chin. Lifting her stooped head, he observed this peerless glamour. You're beautiful. You're a gift from heaven. Any man would get drunk because of you. I'm also a man. I can't avoid being vulgar. Meiji just let him do what he wanted to harass her. While listening to him, her dark eyes didn't have focus. I agree with you that I will serve you for a while. But you have to agree with me to erase that original flame seal. Her heart was now like ashes. Shi Yan's malicious tricks had made her panic. It was the first time she felt powerless and unable to do anything to Shi Yan. When she was done, the irritating feel disappeared. Shi Yan had retracted his finger on her chin. She was surprised. Her eyes brightened. A red-orange flame danced on Shi Yan's fingertip. The flame had a special aura that she immediately recognized. It was the original flame seal that was placed in her lower body. She had a new hope now and said coldly, "When I recover, I will delight you then." Shi Yan looked at her deeply in the eyes. "After you recover, while we are having fun, I think your soul will leave you, eh?" Meiji frowned. "I don't care if you believe me or not. I will keep my words." She couldn't explain why Shi Yan suddenly lifted the seal that he had used to force her. Did he still have some other concealed trick? Meiji was frightened. She suspiciously circulated her power to check her body entirely. She gritted her teeth. Her neck blushed as she was carefully and detailedly checking her lower body. Shi Yan looked at her and smiled. In his mind, he wasn't actually happy though. He figured out her intention. There's no other trick. Don't be suspicious. You think I will believe you? Meiji's eyes were cold and dark. If I wanted to control you, why would I retrieve the original flame seal? Why would I do such a thing? Meiji was also bewildered. She contemplated and then gritted her teeth, lowering her voice. I can fulfill my promise, but you have to make sure that no one will hear about this. Otherwise, when I fully recover, I will not regret paying any price to kill you. She thought that Shi Yan wanted to seize the chance when she was wounded to force her for a fun night. She knew that if Shi Yan used his power, with her little remaining energy, she wouldn't be able to defend herself. Also, she thought that the little skeleton and Shi Yan had formed some agreement. On this Skull Island, with the little skeleton's support, she couldn't use her power to resist Shi Yan. She had to accept her fate. I don't need your body. Strangely, Shi Yan shook his head. You seem to have a high position in the Phantom Clan. I need some information. I want to know what happened to Dragon Lizard Star after we left. I hope you can use the power of the Phantom Clan to find my friend. I want her alive. As long as Audrey lived, Ming Hong was also there. They could find the way to come back to desolate territory. The sea domain was vast and the territories were endless. Shi Yan knew it would be a struggle to find Audrey on his own. If he couldn't find the entrance to the territory, he could only stay in the sea domain of nihility. His connection to Xia Xianyan, Yang Tian Emperor, and the others were going to be cut off. And now, Hui had emerged. He wondered what damages it had brought to desolate territory. He had to accumulate energy to change the structure of desolate territory in the future. Meiji was a powerful character of the Phantom Clan, and the Phantom Clan was one of the 7 great clans. Yin even knew that they were the clan with the best and fastest intelligence. If he could use Meiji to get the information from the Phantom Clan, it would be much easier for him. Oh, an affectionate man. The corners of Meiji's mouth curled. She quieted down as the toughest matter that had troubled her the most lifted away. When she looked at Yin now, she felt better. If you only need information, I can make a deal with you. On my phantom ancestors, I promise to do my best to find the information you need. Are you sure? I'm sure, Yin confirmed. Meiji didn't say anything. She threw one hand into the air while placing the other hand on her big breast before speaking the language of the Phantom Clan and her ancestors to pledge. She would keep her promise and find the information Yin needed. Deal, shouted Yin. In the next moment, he disappeared. After recovering from her bewilderment, she followed him. Nazario and Bastos were forced into a valley between barren mountains. They were sieged in layers. The two looked tired and frightened. It seemed like they couldn't endure it for a long time. The little skeleton sat on the bone dragon and spoke the archaic language of the White Bone clan to command the skeleton warriors to attack the others. Gradually, Nazario and Bastos were slashed and bleeding hard. The remaining god power in their bodies was even less than Meiji's. Leave them to me. They are useful to wake up your parents. Ask your skeleton warriors to pay attention. Yin suddenly shouted and looked at the little skeleton. The skeleton was bewildered for a while, but then nodded to him. As the little skeleton and Meiji didn't understand anything, Yin flew toward Nazario and Bastos. Chapter 1410, Power Upanishad Superiority. Chapter 1410, Power Upanishad Superiority. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The little skeleton suddenly turned and screamed at Yin. He waved his white bone hand and asked Yin not to come close to Nazario and Bastos. When Meiji was about to die, she could gather her energy and pay with her life to threaten Bastos not to come close to her. They were all at the peak of a mortal realm. If they wanted to kill altogether because they couldn't have a chance to escape, the energy from their self-destruction was going to be enough to burst Yin into pieces. He told you not to come close. Be careful or else those two will drag you into their death pit together. Meiji screamed from a distance as she understood the little skeleton's language. Yin didn't change his visage or turn around to answer. Well, if they want to shatter the stone and the jade altogether, it won't work on warriors with space power Upanishad. Meiji was surprised. She thought and nodded as she finally agreed with Yin's confidence. If Yin could teleport as he had done to run away from her, even if Nazario and Bastos wanted to self-detonate, it wasn't easy to kill Yin. Around 10 giant skeleton warriors were holding their massive sabers and surrounding the two devouring clan old men in the valley. Those bone sabers were so massive. As they swung the sabers, white light shot out. Those sabers had left many deep cuts like a spider web in this valley. Nazario and Bastos had countless bleeding cuts. Some even reached their bones, which was very scary to see. We're finished this time. Nazario wore an extremely grimaced face. He hid with Bastos in a corner and gritted his teeth, his eyes malicious. You don't know how intimidating he is, and you have taken rash actions here. You've dragged me into this damn pit altogether. It's useless to say anything now. Bastos pulled himself together. We can't save our bodies. Let's wait for the chance to escape with our soul altars. We can use the corpse slaves out there. We will return to retaliate later. We don't have another choice then, Nazario snorted. Until now, they had never thought that this battle could threaten their lives. They had thought that even if this Skull Island was more evil, they could leave whenever they wanted. Anyway, regardless of how terrifying the tricks that little skeleton was, they didn't see him have any treasure or power to destroy the soul altar. At their peak of a mortal realm, it wasn't difficult to use the soul altar to escape. They hadn't done that yet because they thought that they could run away with their bodies. Yin was especially flying toward them, and the skeleton warriors had loosened their besiege. Their eyes brightened as they exchanged looks. They thought that their chance had finally come. Although they now had only 10% of their power left, they were confident that they could deal with a junior warrior at first sky of a mortal realm with that amount of energy. Nazario squeezed the eyeball. Abruptly, it released evil and dark energy that rippled like water waves. Yin landed from the sky and looked at the coming waves. He rose his hand to grab them. The wisps of energy quietly disappeared. Nazario was bewildered. He could feel the energy from his eyeball enter Yan's palm. This was impossible. The eyeball had used corpse chi as the foundation, and it even had corrosive energy, which came his friend who cultivated corrosion power Upanishad. Yan's palm received everything. How did he do that? Bastos' visage changed. He knew that something was wrong. He immediately sent his mysterious corpse worms by his feet to Yin. Yin grinned. The mysterious corpse worms seemed to sense a domineering aura. They unexpectedly retreated. Each of them flattened their bodies on the ground and shivered. The aura from Yan's body made them instinctively fearful. It was the fear that was carved deeply in their life seal. They couldn't even think about resisting. Bastos and Nazario gawked. They suddenly felt so chilled, and they looked into the void instinctively. It seemed like a territory ancestor realm expert of their clan was hovering in the darkness and watching them. Only territory ancestor realm experts of the devouring clan could have an aura with a beam of their ancestor devour's aura, which could make the mysterious corpse worms crouch on the ground without daring to move. They looked at the sky and felt both fearful and happy as they thought that they were right. Far from them, Meiji's charming face was filled with surprise. She looked at the area and didn't know what was going on over there. Yin was standing in front of Bastos and Nazario, and the mysterious corpse worms were shivering under his feet. The eyeball in Nazario's hand continued to release a halo, but it didn't affect Yin at all. With her vision and knowledge, Meiji became puzzled. She didn't know what happened. However, at this moment, Yin turned around and said to the little skeleton, "I have something I want to talk to them about. I don't want the others to overhear us. Don't worry. I can protect myself. Is it okay?" The little skeleton looked at him with strange eyes. He was baffled for almost a minute before riding the bone dragons away. The other dragon landed by Meiji. This gesture was like telling Meiji to leave too. Meiji was so indignant. She knew that Yin wanted to talk to Nazario and Bastos, and it was crucial for her to understand him more. However, with Yan's vigilance, she couldn't know the details, which made her upset and worried. Not far from them, the little skeleton hovered and looked at her. Under his gaze, she was frightened. After some cursing, she quietly sat down on the bone dragon. The bone dragon flew with her away. "Take the skeleton warriors with you too," Yin pitched his voice again. As soon as he finished, the little skeleton spoke in its archaic language to command the skeleton warriors. Then, the huge skeletons jumped away from the valley. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The 3 bone thorns hissed and flew out, stabbing Nazario's and Bastos' shoulders. Yin had refined these 3 bone thorns a long time ago. They had the essence of space power Upanishad, so they could move freely between spaces. Using them to ambush the others often worked well. The bone thorns nailed the 2 devouring clan monsters on the stone wall. They screeched in pain but shut up shortly after and just looked at the horizon. Yin didn't know why they did that. He lifted his head to see, and he even used dark energy to sense for a while. He found nothing. Noticing the other 2's moves when their eyes switched from the sky to the mysterious corpse worms, he understood. Nobody is there. Don't overthink it. Only I'm here. Previously, he had thought that the devouring power Upanishad could subdue the 8 great, evil power Upanishads. However, since he hadn't had a chance to fight against his fellows, he couldn't confirm it. Also, because he couldn't confirm that, he decided to stay nonchalantly when the 2 experts from the devouring clan attacked Meiji and the skeleton. On the one hand, it was because he couldn't confirm if his assumption was right. On the other hand, Nazario and Bastos had had full power at that time. Even if his power Upanishad was superior to the others, he couldn't stand against these 2 experts. But now, They had lost at least 90% of their god power, and Shi Yin had finally confirmed that the devouring power Upanishad could subdue the other 8 evil power Upanishads. Thus, he became confident instantly. No one is there? Nazario was puzzled. He didn't understand. He looked at the eyeball in his hand and then said coldly, "Then why did our power Upanishads, the corpse chi, and the erosive energy not affect you? First of all, your power is too weak. Second, ha ha ha." Shi Yin suddenly rose his hand. The negative energy included craziness, bloodthirstiness, brutality, and desperation that burst out. They shot out from his eyes and aimed at the other 2. At that moment, an endless blood sea with piles of corpses expanded in their eyes and tried to cover them. However, what made Shi Yin surprised was that Bastos and Nazario didn't lose their minds. Instead, they looked as if they were frantically religious disciples. It's the picture of the holy land that our ancestor had left. It's the brain of our ancestor. What's going on? Shi Yin was bewildered upon hearing them. The illusion created by the negative energy had taken the blood sea of the bloodthirsty force's holy land as the model. He had never expected that these 2 had called it the picture of their holy land and the brain of their ancestor. Shi Yin suddenly understood something and his face changed. He had visited the blood sea in the Holy Land. That mysterious black hole was unexpectedly the brain of Devour, the absolute beginning creature. Devour must have left something in the Devouring clan before it left. The drawing of its brain was the picture of their Holy Land. It seemed like the relationship between the Devouring clan and the bloodthirsty force was somehow close and marvelous. Anyway, the bloodthirsty force and Devour were predestined to not take the same path. 2 blood-dripping hands emerged and blew Nazario's and Bastos' chests. Shi Yin had seized the chance when their minds weren't stable to attack. Although it was despicable, it was safer for Shi Yin. Boom! Nazario and Bastos had fallen into the deepest abyss of their life. They were so weak and they were distracted by Shi Yin's evil energy attack. They got hit and they started bleeding from the wounds on their chests. Until now, their bodies could not recover as they used to be. Death power Upanishad. Nazario and Bastos shouted. They were more frightened. This junior warrior, they had ignored their deeds and their eyes were wide as they watched. They didn't know why Shi Yin could use their clan's power Upanishads, and they didn't know why the mysterious corpse worms acted so cowardly when they saw Shi Yin. They couldn't figure it out no matter what. You can save your body and your soul can't run away. Don't do such useless things. I won't give you a chance. Shi Yin mercilessly struck them with his words. Chapter 1411, Shadow. Chapter 1411, Shadow _ Who are you after all? Nazario and Bastos shouted in unison. At this moment, their souls were trembling hard as if they could explode in any minute. Shi Yin was calm and natural. The energy fluctuating from the other 2 didn't affect him. He rose his left hand and placed it on Nazario's chest. Something dark flashed and a black hole emerged. A powerful suction force appeared and absorbed Nazario's vitality massively. I am from desolate territory. The master whose inheritance I received was called Bloodthirsty. Shi Yin hissed. Nazario and Bastos were shaken hard. They were extremely terrified. You are the successor of that man. Desolate territory. Creatures living in desolate territory will all die. Haha, all of you will have a tragic death. Our plan is carried out. Our young master has went there. He'll kill all creatures in your desolate territory. Nazario laughed and screamed crazily. He didn't care what Bastos thought. The vitality in his body erupted like a volcano. His soul altar was shattered into pieces in just a fragment of time. Shi Yin was chilled, and he teleported away without thinking. Swoosh! He disappeared quickly. Boom! Boom! 2 explosions happened one after another, sending a blood rain and pieces of flesh to the entire valley. It was the last shockwave from when the soul altars and bodies were destroyed. After that, Shi Yin reappeared in the valley. The blood downpour was like heavy rain. Everything in his vision was blood red. Nazario and Bastos didn't leave anything. pieces of their remains scattered around the valleys. The wisps of their essence, chi and soul energy, were vanishing and returning into earth and heaven. Shi Yin frowned. The black hole emerged above his head like a massive mouth that sucked the soul energy that hadn't dispersed. At the same time, his acupuncture points absorbed their essence chi. However, his face slowly darkened. Shi Yin hadn't thought that Nazario could become so extreme after he knew Shi Yin was from desolate territory. He didn't say anything before he detonated his body and soul. Evidently, they knew bloodthirsty and what was happening in desolate territory. Nazario had exploded his own soul altar when he knew that Shi Yin knew devouring power Upanishad. He understood that if his soul altar remained, it would benefit Shi Yin later. Nazario said that their young master had descended, and he would kill all creatures in desolate territory. This had become a shadow in Shi Yin's heart. He knew that the said young master was probably the soul that came from the other world that Xin Shan had guided. That soul had carried out many dark plans. When Hui emerged, it had quietly sneaked away. Now, no one knew where it was. That man should be a sharp weapon that Devour and the Devouring clan had prepared with the goal of destroying Desolate. In the future, he was going to bring an endless catastrophe to desolate territory. The Devouring clan had never ceased to find and invade desolate territory. They didn't find the entrance, but they had used some secret techniques to send their young master's soul there. If that man had more time to grow, Shi Yin felt chilled inwardly. Flap, flap. The flapping sounds came from the bone wings. The little skeleton came together with Meiji on another dragon. They were bewilderedly looking at the gory valley and Shi Yin, who was immersed in his thoughts. The little skeleton and Meiji didn't bother him. Meiji's bright eyes sparkled with strange light, her beautiful face filled with fear. Nazario and Bastos were at third sky of Immortal Realm. Although they didn't have much energy left, Shi Yin wasn't able to kill them. From this scene, they knew that Nazario's and Bastos' soul altars exploded altogether. They were utterly dead. How could Shi Yin do that? She was so frightened. Shi Yin didn't give any explanation. After contemplating for a while, he lifted his head and looked at the little skeleton. Let's go to your parents. The skeleton nodded. Ah, right. Shi Yin frowned and said to Meiji, you can understand the archaic language of the Whitebone clan. Give me the knowledge. As he didn't understand the Whitebone clan's language, he had to guess a lot while communicating with the little skeleton. It was really troublesome. Meiji could understand this language. Shi Yin thought that she could impart him the memory seal of languages like the warriors from the Heavenly Eye clan had done to him. I can't transfer it to you. That skeleton doesn't use the current language of the Whitebone clan. It's really strange. My method is a single-use type. Unless we go to our Phantom clan, I can use the same tool to send you the knowledge of the language. We don't have any other option now, Meiji shook her head. No other option? I'm afraid so. Shi Yin pondered, and then said to the little skeleton, bring her with us. She can help us communicate. The skeleton nodded again. He could understand Shi Yin, but it was really bad that Shi Yin couldn't understand it. It was a problem. Meiji could solve this problem, so he agreed. The little skeleton rode the bone dragon and flew away while screaming. He said that you and I can share the ride. Meiji's bold brows furrowed slightly. Shi Yin didn't say anything. He flew up and landed on the back of the snow-white bone dragon right behind Meiji. He extended his arms and clutched Meiji's round hips. Meiji's body stiffened. She suddenly recalled the moment Shi Yin was standing behind her and that humiliation. She felt so uncomfortable. Frowning, she hissed, can you stay a little away from me? This bone dragon isn't that small. Why are you leaning against me like this? Shi Yin grinned and then laughed. His hands rubbed her waists. What are you afraid of? Didn't you say you would serve me dedicatedly? Although our deal has changed, anyway, let me take a little advantage. It's your debt to pay. You're contemptible. Meiji cursed, her face cold and her body also getting icy. Your condition isn't really good. If you continue using her energy, it will be very difficult for you to recover. You can even create permanent damages to your body. What do you think? Shi Yin talked into her ears in a strange tone. Meiji shuddered and snarled. What do you want after all? help you steady your wounds. Shi Yin's voice became raw and cold. Then, his rude hand crawled to her lower abdomen. While Meiji was still puzzled, a warm air current quietly seeped into her body. That warm current carried a mysterious energy that acted like the mineral hot spring that ran through her lower abdomen and veins in her body. Miraculously, her damaged veins, body, and her consumed god power recovered. While that warm current moved around, Meiji's body turned into a beautiful pink hue. Her face blushed as if she was soaking her body in a warm lake. This feeling was so refreshing and comfortable. She was a little panicked. However, she didn't mind if Shi Yan's hand was placed in a sensitive part where he shouldn't be touching. He just enjoyed the cozy feeling and tried to heal her wounds faster. The beautiful scene didn't last for long. Soon, the bone dragon stopped and landed in the stone chamber inside the mountain where the little skeleton's parents were. The cozy feeling in Meiji's body disappeared when Shi Yan lifted his hand away. The warmth at her wounds and her lower abdomen disappeared. Waves of pain hit her again. She looked at his hand, her bright eyes yearning, but she couldn't say anything. It looked like she wanted that hand to stay there forever. She even forgot how embarrassing it was to have his hand placed on her belly. Shi Yan didn't look at her. Taking a deep breath, he said to the little skeleton, "Move your parents' bone bodies out." The little skeleton immediately took action. He was so tender as he was afraid that he could damage his parents' bodies. He carefully took out the two bone bodies from the coffin and laid them on the icy, rigid ground. Shi Yan frowned and placed his hands on the chests of the two bodies. The essence chi from Nazario and Bastos was rapidly refined. He had sent a part to heal Meiji, and now he was slowly pouring the remaining into the two bodies through the heart cores. After they were taken out of the stone coffins, the vitality that was poured in their heart cores didn't flow away anymore. The two heart cores were like sponges taking in Shi Yan's vitality. Shi Yan could feel that they were like an endless sea, and the amount of energy he had poured into them was like a grain of salt thrown into the sea. Still, they needed a lot to reach the brim. He was so surprised. He contemplated, and he knew that if this little skeleton's parents had their heart cores filled with energy, their energy would be thousands of times more abundant than the combined energy of Nazario and Bastos in their best conditions. They were absolutely existences at the territory ancestor realm. Instinctively, he turned to look at the little skeleton. This child was lucky. The two parents at the territory ancestor realm had put a lot of efforts to refine it, and perhaps only the White Bone clan parents at such a level could give birth to this marvelous child. Time flew fast. After an unknown time, Shi Yan had sent all the vitality that he had refined from Nazario's and Bastos' energy to the heart cores of the two bone bodies. Retracting his hand, Shi Yan observed the heart cores of the two bodies and found no change. However, the brown-gray bone bodies seemed to get a little shinier. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The little skeleton was stunned. Looking at the small change on his parents, he waved his hand and tried to say something. "It asked you if its parents could wake up or not?" explained Meiji. Shi Yan contemplated for a long while. Then, he looked at the little skeleton with yearning ears and said, "If we do it this way, theoretically, we can wake up your parents. However, we need a huge amount of vitality. The energy I've poured into them is still very little. It requires a lot more to wake your parents." Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The little skeleton's eyes were filled with grief. After a long time, it spoke again. "It asked you, do you have any method to make it faster?" said Meiji. Shi Yan contemplated again. What method would make this faster? There's a method, indeed. However, that method was built on bloody slaughter. It required countless lives. Chapter 14:12, The Sea of Annihilation. Chapter 14:12, The Sea of Annihilation _ In a remote corner of the dark, cold sea domain of Nihility, a small ash-gray island was moving quickly and heading to the Sea of Annihilation. Although it looked as if it was moving slowly, after each flash, it crossed billions of miles. Taking a closer look at that island was like looking at a massive skull with empty sockets and a big, dark mouth that was like deep tunnel. It was Skull Island. On a barren hill was Shi Yin and Meiji sitting and watching the void. This Skull Island is much more marvelous than I thought. Currently, the members of the White Bone clan couldn't build such a massive Skull Island. Only noble members of the clan could build Skull Islands and use them as big, moving weapon like a battleship. Anyway, this Skull Island can defend and attack perfectly. It can even conjure bone slaves. I have never heard about such a marvelous weapon before. Meiji didn't look very pale. She had slowly recovered. However, she still needed a lot of time to recover to her best condition. Shi Yin listened to her quietly and didn't say anything. 3 years ago, in the cave inside the Skull Island, Shi Yin, Meiji, and the little skeleton had agreed to come to the Sea of Annihilation. Shi Yin knew he could use the devouring power Upanishad to swallow an abundant amount of vitality to revive the skeleton's parents. However, he didn't propose this method. Meiji suggested that the little skeleton should find the members of the White Bone clan. She thought that if they knew that they had 2 precursors who were dormant like this, they would try their best to wake them up. The little skeleton said that he had never met any member of the White Bone clan before. After he was born, he had always stayed and watched over the Skull Island. The Skull Island was mysterious. If it turned on its defense, it could prevent the soul consciousness from detecting it or turn invisible. Its power was like dark energy. In these recent years, the little skeleton had always protected his parents here. Deep in his soul, his parents had left a message before they died. They asked him not to contact others before it could reach the territory ancestor realm. He remembered and followed his parents' last wish, trying to hide the skull skeleton to not contact the outside warriors. After many years of concealing, he had never met any member of the White Bone clan. Bastos had the precise direction, so he came here. Shi Yin had gotten here by chance. According to Meiji, the White Bone clan experts had based in the Sea of Annihilation. As long as they could find the White Bone clan experts, they could receive help from them to revive the skeleton's parents. Shi Yin knew about the Sea of Annihilation through the heavenly fantasy star compass. When he and Audrey parted, he told her to meet up at the Sea of Annihilation. Thus, he also wanted to go there. Meiji was one of the Phantom Clan's leaders who based in the Sea of Annihilation. Before she had gone to Dragon Lizard Star, she had always been there. She had come to Dragon Lizard Star to recruit the Water Tribe in exchange for Forefather Dragon Lizard's immortal pellets. As things were done, she had to return to the Sea of Annihilation. As they had the same destination, after they agreed with each other, the little skeleton followed Meiji's direction to drive the Skull Island. The island was now a floating battleship that headed to the Sea of Annihilation. Shi Yin stroked the heavenly fantasy star compass. Tu Shi of the mysterious Sky Clan had given him a marvelous compass. Not only did it have special landmarks, but it also had time measurements. It was 3.5 years after he had parted with Audrey. It seemed to have been a long time. However, to the warrior at his realm, it was just like a blink of an eye. The heavenly fantasy star compass showed the directions and provided a brief introduction of the Sea of Annihilation. The Sea of Annihilation was one of the big trading zones for creatures in Sea Domain of Nihility. It was similar to a big market anyway. The experts from many clans often visited this place. However, there was no detailed description of this place. Anyway, the heavenly fantasy star compass was just a compass. It was more important that it showed the exact locations and time. Honestly, this is the first time I came to the Sea Domain of Nihility. My knowledge of the Sea Domain of Nihility is not very wide. I've heard about the Sea of Annihilation, but I don't know what it's actually. You said that we are pretty close to it. Can you tell me more details? Shi Yin turned to Meiji. Shi Yin had stayed inside the Skull Island to cultivate, steady his immortal realm, and quench his power Upanishad. Meiji suddenly woke him up. Then, he left the cave and flew out of the skull's mouth to get onto the surface of the island. I had underestimated this Skull Island. It's even faster than when I fly at my max speed. It's worth being the divine weapon that the 2 territory ancestor realm experts had built. Meiji generously complimented. At this speed, we will at least enter the Sea of Annihilation after half a month. Right. I should tell you some information about the Sea of Annihilation. In this sea domain of nihility, not many inhabited continents are complete. This place used to be the center in the absolute beginning era. Because of the Great War, it was destroyed. This place has so many shattered stars, continents, mountains, and lakes. The Sea of Annihilation is strange and miraculous. It's actually an endless sea. The area of this sea can be as big as an entire sea area in a territory. It's extremely vast. The Sea of Annihilation has many small islands and continents. There are as many as stars in the sky. The Sea of Annihilation is very deep. At our realm, I'm afraid that we can't go too deep. The bottom of the Sea of Annihilation is one of the most mysterious areas in the sea domain of nihility. Rumors say that the seabed still has some divine weapon from the absolute beginning era because it used to be the battlefield of the Great War at that time. Currently, many creatures and warriors in the sea domain of nihility are exploring the Sea of Annihilation. Sometimes, they find broken divine weapons or marvelous treasures, or even the seal of power Upanishads. They are all powerful and magical, which can help the experts reach the territory ancestor realm. That's why the Sea of Annihilation is always a delicious pie in the explorer's eyes. Many races live on the islands in the Sea of Annihilation. They have considered the Sea of Annihilation as their homeland. Every second, warriors are entering the sea or trying to explore the seabed to find the vestiges of the absolute beginning era. The 7 great clans also sent their hotshots to base in the Sea of Annihilation. To them, the Sea of Annihilation is an arena. Meiji looked at the dark area ahead of them as if she was watching the real Sea of Annihilation. She slowly explained many things to Shi Yin and then concluded. That area has a lot of excellent encounters, but it's also very dangerous. It's a bustling, chaotic area. Low-realm warriors can be easily killed. I'm reminding you, be more cautious when we get there. There are some people even the 7 great clans have to be afraid of. You better behave and be humble. When your identity as a warrior with a wisp of a soul from an absolute beginning creature is exposed, even our phantom clan can't protect you. Shi Yin discolored. The intimidating experts that even the 7 great clans have to be afraid of. There are many experts without a clan or a force. Perhaps they are the last members of their races. However, they are very powerful. They often go there alone. If they reach the territory ancestor realm, do you think they won't be intimidating? Meiji forced a smile. Shi Yin was terrified. There are territory ancestor realm experts there? Meiji nodded. They are hiding in the areas where we can hardly sense, or even in the sea. They come for the mysterious things undersea. Rumors say that someone has found the vestiges from the absolute beginning era where the ultimate secret of earth and heaven is hiding. It's so attractive to the territory ancestor realm experts. How vast is the Sea of Annihilation? Shi Yin was astounded. Meiji pondered for a while and then said, the sea surface is as big as an entire star area. It has dozens of thousands of islands. Many of them are barren and not suitable for cultivating or living. A few of them are suitable for low-realm warriors to stay and cultivate in. However, there are larger, deeper areas. There's a way to imagine it. An expert with profound space power Upanishad used to measure it carefully. He said that the Sea of Annihilation looks like an upside-down funnel, and the sea surface is the bottom of that funnel. Getting deeper, the sea would get bigger. He said that the real area of the seabed could be hundreds of times bigger than the surface. It's hard to imagine, right? Shi Yin was puzzled like a wooden chicken. A funnel? A funnel has a narrow bottom and a wide top. If that expert with space power Upanishad was correct that the surface of the Sea of Annihilation was as big as a star area, how big was the sea bottom? As big as a territory? As big as the desolate territory? It was just a sea in the sea domain of nihility, and it was so vast that Shi Yin was really astounded. Don't be surprised. The vast universe has countless territories and lands. The sea domain of nihility is the center of this cosmos. It's not strange if it has some mysterious and marvelous areas. Meiji's voice was relaxing. Her bright eyes rolled and she asked all of a sudden, I'm curious. What method did you use to kill Nazario and Bastos? How could you send the vitality to me? Yin became cautious immediately. He snorted. Our deal doesn't include digging up each other's secrets. I will figure it out sooner or later. Meiji gritted her teeth. She frowned and then said, I don't know why you wanted to help that little child from the White Bone clan. What could it give you? Do you think that if you save his parents, they will appreciate you a lot and become part of your strong background? Do you know how much vitality it requires to revive his parents? Yin pondered for a while and didn't say anything. He couldn't tell the reason either. He was just compassionate for that little skeleton. The grief and yearning that the little skeleton had for his parents, his sorrow, and his helpless feelings had touched a soft spot in Yin's heart. It made him not consider pros and cons as he always did. He just immediately helped the little child without any condition. He couldn't explain it to Meiji, and he knew that Meiji wouldn't buy it if he explained his compassion for the kid to her. In the Sea of Annihilation, I am also a character. What I've promised you, I will fulfill. As long as your woman comes to the Sea of Annihilation and exposes her location, I'm sure we can find her. Our Phantom clan is famous for taking intelligence in this sea domain of nihility, said Meiji. Then thanks in advance, said Yin. Chapter 1413, Waiting for a Man. Chapter 1413, Waiting for a Man _ Deep in the Sea of Annihilation. There was an island floating above the sea. It had many big trees that made it look like a black water lily. The trees on this island were so huge that they were like high mountains. They were as thick as a meadow. The island had so many different colored flags, which had many drawings of resentful souls and wailing ghosts. Those flags flew with the wind like a bunch of ghosts and demons screaming and hissing. Deep in the center of the lush forest were many rooms made of dry trees. Most of them were closed, and only a few of them had human footmarks. At this moment, a warrior of the Soul Clan was kneeling in front of the door of a lodge and speaking in the language of the Soul Clan to report, Teacher, we got news? Come in. A senile, male voice came out from the room. The Soul Clan warrior respectfully stepped in. It was a plain room with more flags on the walls. The brocade flags here all had drawings of wailing ghosts and resentful souls. Just like the main power Upanishad of the Soul Clan, they felt dark and horrible. A haggard, old man with many wrinkles on his face was sitting on a cattail hassock. He was wearing a thick black robe that shrouded his thin body of a dry corpse. He looked as if he would die in the next minute. However, his eyes were like a cold water pond at night. They were deep and cold, and they didn't show human emotions. We got news. Sing was killed on Dragon Lizard Star. Forefather Dragon Lizard had joined hands with Tu Shirchi and Yeyun of the mysterious Sky Clan. The Dragon Lizard Clan announced that they officially become a dependent clan of the mysterious Sky Clan, reported the young warriors who had reached second sky of a mortal realm. Sing was so incompetent. He borrowed your soul refining cauldron and still failed. The old man was as calm as usual. It seemed like he had predicted this result beforehand. Continue. I want more details. The young man pulled a serious countenance and reported the details of the battle that took place on Dragon Lizard Star. The old man quietly listened to him. After a while, he looked surprised. Oh, a junior with the soul clone of an absolute beginning creature. Interesting. If we can merge his soul to the soul refining cauldron, it will significantly contribute to healing the cauldron. Yeah, I'm sure it's not less than Forefather Dragon Lizard's soul. Then, he opened his mouth. Something emerged from the tip of his tongue. Surprisingly, it was the soul refining cauldron that had stirred up the entire Dragon Lizard Star. This divine weapon from the absolute beginning era had disappeared discreetly after the battle on Dragon Lizard Star ended. It had returned to this old man's tongue. He spurted it out. The soul refining cauldron flew out and enlarged massively, floating above the island. So many complicated but exquisite absolute beginning era symbols on the cauldron's surface revived at the same time. They turned into twisted, evil ghost faces that moved around the cauldron. Flows of souls flew out of so many brocade flags on the island. Once the souls left, the drawings on the flags also left. From the bird's view, thousands of departed souls and ghosts were silently getting into the soul refining cauldron, and the cauldron took them all in. The absolute beginning era symbols on the cauldron surface became stranger and more mysterious after the cauldron had received more souls. It was now filled with enormous energy. Not long afterward, the ghosts and evil souls kept in the brocade flags on the island were all gone. They were the souls that the old man had recently collected. His eyes flashed and the soul-refining cauldron became much smaller. He swallowed it right after that. I still need a lot, the old man mumbled. Pondering for a while, he turned to the young man, his eyes sinister. Tate, you know why I came to the Sea of Annihilation this time? You've been in this area for years. You should know what to do to satisfy me. The young man of the Soul Clan shivered inwardly. He put on a solemn face and said quickly, Teacher, don't worry. I know what to do. You need war and death. That's how you collect the souls. I'm on it. The old man grinned contentedly, his grin evil and eccentric. You're my good disciple. Anyway, it's not easy to trigger a war in the Sea of Annihilation. Even if we, the Soul Clan, want to do that, we'll need a cause or an excuse. I hope you can arrange things properly. Don't let the other clans catch our tail. They will say our Soul Clan broke the rules. Our general commander was murdered. It's not a bad cause. I'm going to take care of it, said Tate. The old man nodded and then looked at the ground underneath. It seemed like his eyes could pierce through the island to watch something in the sea. Remember, don't bother the old freak underneath. Otherwise, it will be very troublesome. Understood. A small island floated in a remote corner of the Sea of Annihilation had thunderstorms wreck the place year-round. Apparently, it wasn't a good island for creatures to live on. Low-realm warriors buried their bodies here. They had to reach the immortal realm to stay intact on this island. Audrey stood alone on a barren mountain on the island and looked afar. She had come to the Sea of Annihilation 6 months ago. Right after she had arrived, she decided to choose a remote island to stay in. This area had harsh conditions, and it was almost isolated. Not many people would notice this island. After they had parted, she had followed Two Sure Cheese direction to come to the Sea of Annihilation alone. She had encountered some dangers on the way. She had killed all the warriors who had approached her with malicious attempts. She had reached third sky of incipient god realm. Every day, she made good progress. Also, she still had an immortal pellet. If she had enough time, she could reach the immortal realm soon. Because she had merged with Ming Hong's soul and taken in the Sing's 7 brutal souls, she had accumulated such attainment. She also understood the cultivating techniques of the Soul Clan. The Soul Clan was a peculiar race that mainly cultivated the Soul Altar. Their understanding of the Soul Altar had surpassed many other great clans. Imperial Dark Tribe was rumored to be the clan that Desolate had created with the Soul Clan as the model. Imperial Dark Tribe had similar physical and metal features as the Soul Clan. Even their cultivating techniques were similar. Tu Sure Chi gifted her the souls of the Soul Clan, and Sing was the Soul Clan's general commander. After she had refined those souls, Audrey now had a deep understanding of the soul altar power Upanishad of the Soul Clan. Her realm could increase rapidly. Ming Hong and those brutal souls could make up for her insufficient power. They were her source of energy. To break through the realm, the warriors needed to accumulate energy and develop a deeper understanding of power Upanishads. When these two weren't a problem, it was natural that Audrey could become stronger fast. Audrey's thoughts flickered and so many souls emerged by her. This cluster of ghosts consisted of thousands of resentful souls and ghosts. They gathered in clusters, which were massive and terrifying. Ming Hong, the brutal soul, was the master of those souls. He turned into his appearance when he was still alive, which was an elder of Imperial Dark Tribe. The entrance to our territory is right under a current at the seabed of the Sea of Annihilation. It's an isolated area, indeed. That year, I came through the entrance and I was lost by the edge of the Sea of Annihilation seabed. When I got out, I was in another area. Audrey frowned. After you were gone, there were many people at the immortal realm in our desolate territory. They could go to the sea domain of nihility through the territory entrance too. However, they have never met any creature in the sea domain of nihility. Do you think it's strange? According to you, the Sea of Annihilation is really vast and countless creatures have come here. How could they not have met any of them? Ming Hong forced a smile. Because we were wrong, and those who came later took the wrong way too? Audrey looked as if she wanted to ask for more information. Perhaps you can't imagine it. Actually, the Sea of Annihilation is connected to our desolate territory. The entrance to the territory is right at the border. The entrance is where our territory meets the sea domain of nihility. There are vast seas on both sides of the barriers. We have to get through a sea to get to the sea domain of nihility. Also, when we get through the sea, we will meet a river that leads to a terrifying, massive ocean. Ming Hong saw her baffled, so he rose his hands to gather a group of souls to sketch a map. At first, he drew a massive sea. From the sea as the center, he drew more rivers, which connected to the big sea. Those rivers flow to the Sea of Annihilation. In some aspects, they are parts of the Sea of Annihilation. After we get through the territory entrance, we don't have to follow the river to the Sea of Annihilation. No one has gotten to the seabed of the sea domain of nihility because it was impossible to do that. We couldn't endure the terrible water pressure under the sea. On the way, we took a branch that led to the other areas far away from the Sea of Annihilation. They were relatively safe areas in the sea domain of nihility. Anyway, they are the remote areas where we rarely saw any footmarks. The area I arrived on is a desolate corner of the sea domain of nihility, which is pretty far from the Sea of Annihilation. It doesn't have many creatures living on it. I thought that the other warriors from desolate territory came here after I also arrived at the isolated areas where there were no footprints. Only one expert had taken the right way as soon as he had entered the sea domain of nihility. He got through the Sea of Annihilation's seabed and emerged on the surface of the Sea of Annihilation. Ming Hong wore a strange face. "Who is he?" asked Audrey. "Bloodthirsty." He was the only one who had followed the right route through the river to the seabed of the Sea of Annihilation after crossing the territory in trance because his power and realm were enough to endure the terrifying water pressure there. He figured out the ideal way and emerged from the seabed to the surface. He appeared in the friendly, lively area of the sea domain of nihility. Ming Hong showed his respect and sighed. "I know this through Sing's research. I know he was here for a short time. The Devouring clan had fought against him once. He had killed many of them. He had even battled against Han Tian of the mysterious Sky Clan. I heard that he won. However, Sing didn't know his real identity. Bloodthirsty had subdued our Imperial Dark Tribe and stopped us from thriving for 10,000 years. Anyway, with his competence, he had topped our territory." Audrey also respected the expert. "I know the location of the territory entrance. I can take you out of here and return to desolate territory. I've been waiting for that day, but I don't know what makes you hesitant. You've been here for half a year. What are you waiting for?" Ming Hong was clueless. "I'm waiting for a man. He and I will return together," answered Audrey. Chapter 1414, Separate. Chapter 1414, Separate _ It was an immense, shoreless ocean without a layer of clouds and atmosphere. There were broken pieces of stars and asteroids and a terrifying deadly blast. A skull island was carefully avoiding the asteroids and broken rocks on its way to land on the sea surface. Above the sea is a dangerous area. We better move to the water surface. It should be safer, suggested Meiji. The little skeleton agreed. Thus, the skull island slowly landed on the Sea of Annihilation. Just like a massive cruise, it continued to move further. The three of them sat on the skull island and finally arrived at the Sea of Annihilation. Shi Yin looked at the little skeleton with wary eyes. He then turned to Meiji and relaxed. "Where are we on the Sea of Annihilation?" "It's just a remote area that's still pretty far away from the deep ocean. At our speed, it will take around half a month to get to the island where the Whitebone clan is. We can stop by our Phantom clan's island first. We'll be in there in about 10 days, explained Meiji. Shi Yin nodded and looked at the little skeleton. "What do you think?" "Nah, what else is there to think about?" Meiji arched her brow and said casually, "He's a member of the Whitebone clan. Of course, he has to return to his clan. I'm sure the members of the Whitebone clan will do everything they can to help his parents gain their consciousness back." The Whitebone clan had a small population. Thus, among the 7 great clans, The White Bone clan was the most harmonious clan. They had almost no civil war. It was very hard and took a long time to get a new member of the clan. Also, they had to drain their power fighting against others, so they didn't have energy to create an internal dispute. In fact, their union was seriously taken into account. They had restricted and punished any internal dispute that could cause a war. Nobody had ever seen two members of the White Bone clan attack each other. To him, returning to the White Bone clan is the best choice. We should respect his choice, Meiji said seriously. Shurian looked at the little skeleton and considered how to say what he thought. I know a method to wake up your parents. However, the requirement is really complicated and it will take a long time. Yeah, I think you should return to White Bone clan first. When I get a new method, I'll find you and help you. The little skeleton looked at him in the eyes. His mouth moved slightly. He gave a slight nod, his eyes showing gratitude. You should go with us. The Phantom clan is on the way anyway. After we got there, I'll show you the way to the White Bone clan, said Meiji. The little skeleton nodded again. Thus, the three of them continued to ride the Skull Island, moving on the Sea of Annihilation and heading to the base of the Phantom clan. On their journey, they found so many islands. They were like stars in the sky that they couldn't count. They saw many giant ships moving on the sea, carrying many warriors from alien tribes. Although Meiji was wearing her mask, many of them had recognized her. Sometimes, when they saw her far away, they had already greeted. On a massive ship made of cold steel, around 10 bulky alien warriors were moving. They were all brawny with fierce auras. They stayed half-naked and showed the muscles of their rigid, metal-like bodies. Their skin even sparkled and reflected the cold light. Those people had an animal skin pattern on their bodies. They had horns and their arms and thighs were twice as big as those of normal people. They gave people the impression of something powerful and explosive. An alien found Meiji. He looked so thrilled. Without prior announcement, he leaped up and landed grumblingly like a steel mountain on the Skull Island. He was a third sky of Immortal Realm expert cultivating sharp metal power Upanishad. His body was like real steel or iron. Apparently, he knew Meiji. As soon as he landed, he laughed loudly. Meiji, long time no see. I heard that you went to Dragon Lizard Star. You recruited the Water Tribe, didn't you? His eyes moved and stopped at the little skeleton. He looked a little surprised. A kid from the White Bone clan? Why did you go with the White Bone clan? I have never heard that you would be associated with White Bone clan members. He glanced at Shurian for a second. He didn't pay a lot of attention because he thought that Shurian was just an ordinary warrior. Yerberg, why are you here? Meiji smiled. They say that someone found the absolute beginning vestiges under the sea. The old men in the clan led me here to check it out. Meiji, you've based in the Sea of Annihilation for years because of the Phantom clan. Do you know anyone who is familiar with the seabed? Asked the beefy alien man with a smile. The seabed? Meiji furrowed her brows. The real seabed isn't a place that you and I can intrude. I'm based in the sea domain of nihility and I can't explore this. Meiji shook her head. Yerberg didn't force her. He continued with a smile. I heard that Singh was dead. Tate is screaming everywhere that the mysterious Sky Clan killed him. They are planning to retaliate against the mysterious Sky Clan. I'm afraid this Sea of Annihilation will become chaotic again. You should be careful. I also heard that you did join that event in Dragon Lizard Star. Tate. Meiji pouted her lips. What the heck does he think he is? With his realm, what effect can he bring to the Sea of Annihilation? He doesn't want to live more as he's trying to stir up the sea. Tate has only second sky of Immortal Realm cultivation base. It's true that he can't rise the wind. But what if his teacher is here too? Yerberg almost shouted. Meiji discolored. What? That old freak comes to the Sea of Annihilation? Perhaps it's related to the absolute beginning vestige under the Sea of Annihilation. Who knows? Anyway, he's in the Sea of Annihilation now. Yeah, you can confirm this with your team when you come back. Then, Yerberg lowered his voice. I heard that you got a kid on Dragon Lizard Star who has the wisp of a soul of an absolute beginning creature. Did you refine him? Tell me honestly, have you reached the bottleneck to break through to the territory ancestor realm? Meiji grimaced and coldly looked at Yerberg. Now, everybody knows what had happened on Dragon Lizard Star. Don't ask me. That's what Tate has spread. I got the news from the Soul Clan. I'm not sure if they are true or fake. Yerberg shrugged. Well, recently, we have only these things fly around. It's hard not to know. Oh right, there's something else. Someone from the Devouring Clan asked me to find 2 experts called Nazario and Bastos. They said that they've confirmed that these 2 were dead. They wanted me to investigate the details. If you got something you know, just tell me. I'm sure the price I offer will satisfy you. Okay. Meiji wore a cold face and waved her hand. We don't have much time to babble with you. Yerberg laughed and nodded to Meiji and the little skeleton before returning to his battleship. Shortly after, they left and disappeared. Who is he? Shi Yin watched the disappearing battleship. Cultivates metal power Upanishad at 3rd sky of Immortal Realm. His body is so tough. I think he's not weaker than Sing. Yerberg came from a branch of the ancient monster clan. He's in charge of collecting news and information around the sea domain of nihility. That's how I know him. I didn't expect that Tate would let everybody know what had happened on Dragon Lizard Star. That old freak is also in the Sea of Annihilation. Unexpectedly, Meiji sighed. Who is Tate's teacher? Asked Shi Yin. He could see Meiji become more worried when she heard that person was in the Sea of Annihilation. At her peak of Immortal Realm, only the Territory Ancestor Realm expert could make her worried. Indeed, Meiji said, he's the owner of the Soul Refining Cauldron. He's one of the Territory Ancestor Realm experts of the Soul Clan. Wherever he goes, people have to live in calamities. He needs countless souls to recover the Soul Refining Cauldron to achieve the real power of an absolute beginning divine weapon. That cauldron is not fixed yet? Shi Yin discolored in fright. Of course not. It needs a large amount of soul energy. Otherwise, you think Sing can borrow it from the owner? Meiji pouted. I'm sure Sing had to pound his chest to ensure that he could take Dragon Lizard Soul. That's how he could persuade that old monster. Shi Yin was astounded. The Skull Island continued its journey. 10 days later, the Skull Island anchored by a massive island. The island had flowers and green grass matted everywhere alongside the large pieces of forest. So many beautiful and luxury palaces situated on the island, which were sparkling because they were built of jade. They were so eye-catching. The mist and smoke wound around the island, making the entire island a fairyland. Meiji observed the island and smiled relaxedly. She took off the mask and revealed the face that could attract all creatures. Looking at the familiar island, she found many familiar barriers and restrictions. She pointed to a direction and said to the little skeleton, "You move that way. After 5 days, you will reach the base of the White Bone Clan. It's also a bone island, easy to recognize." The little skeleton was reluctant, looking at Shi Yin deep in the eyes. Shi Yin thought for a while, then said, "I need time to prepare something to wake up your parents. Actually, I need a long time. We can't rush. I agree with you. Whenever I'm done, I'm going there to find you." The little skeleton nodded. It didn't talk much, driving the Skull Island away and disappearing. Meiji watched until the Skull Island disappeared from her sight. She pondered and then said, "I don't know what you will do to awake his parents, but I can tell you that, even if he returns to the White Bone Clan, with their force in the White Bone Clan, they can't wake up his parents. They are 2 Territory Ancestor Realm experts. To refill the lost energy, the energy required is more than what you can imagine. You'd better get rid of that fixation. Moreover, you don't know him. You don't need to do things for him." "I know what I'm doing." Shi Yin was fed up. Meiji snorted and didn't persuade him more. "Follow me." A snow lotus emerged in her palm. When the lotus bloomed, layers of mist above the island slowly dispersed. The invisible barriers and restrictions were lifted. Shi Yin followed her to the island full of flowers. His eyes sparkled when he observed the surroundings. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.